All right, good morning. It is a... Are we going with Feel Good Friday?
It did feel good. Yeah, it's summer.
TGIF?
For me, TGIF.
Yeah, not a feel good?
No. Well, feel
What's going
good.
on?
Yeah.
Feel good that it is.
Are you
I mean,
okay?
I'm at the end of the grind.
Talk
I'm
to
at
us.
What do you mean the end of the grind?
Like it's gonna be today. Because I worked the last 2 weekends. Like tomorrow's gonna be my first day off in quite a while.
I don't
Be
think
very
anyone's
nice.
gonna feel any
nice
sympathy.
nice and relaxed. Nice and sleepy.
You don't like being an adult, do you?
Yeah.
That's what we've come to a conclusion.
I like being an adult, but there are definitely points where I look back and I'm like, yeah, not being an adult was fun.
Oh, you're not
I
wrong.
still-
We all
I
agree
still
with you
remember
there.
the days of what not being adult was like, and
Yeah.
so I can harken back to it pretty recently and be
You'd
like,
prefer to have your summers off like a teacher, right?
Mhm.
well, this is my first time not having a summer off. This is my literally the first time in my life where I'm like, I have obligations all the time, no matter what, regardless of the month being July. So this is yes, I guess I would.
You have had a busy stretch because you and Josh did all the baseball village.
Yeah, we did.
But welcome to the real world.
Yeah.
Yes, this is the real world, and I'm.
If it
ready
makes
to
you feel
sleep.
better, it gets worse. Your body starts failing you. Your hair starts falling. It starts turning gray.
It
Hey,
already
welcome
is
to Friday,
happening.
Jimmy.
And I am in a good mood. You asked Feel Good Friday. I
Yeah?
feel good today.
Well, wow,
All right.
at the turntables.
Oh, give it time. It's only 6:10.
Fair enough.
That thing could turn in a hurry.
Well, we've reached the dog days of the sports calendar
we have.
because the NBA draft is over.
Still bad, but ball knowers
but-
last night, so that was okay.
Okay.
Wendy was there. If Wendy's there, I'll listen.
Day 2 of the draft took place in the team store. Okay, at
It
the
was-
Barclays.
Wasn't that
Okay,
just...
but I want to tell you why the dog days of the summer are not over, or they
Got
went
it.
quickly.
Wow, look at that thing.
Look at that baby.
Woo-hoo-hoo.
It has arrived.
She is nice.
Mail? Does that mean it's at the Barnes and Noble now?
I believe it is.
Okay.
I believe
I-
the 2 Barnes and Noble locations in Omaha have Phil Steele.
I will get the.
I got
to
home
there today.
yesterday and I saw it in my mailbox and I was like, okay. Good thing mailman Todd didn't open it up and start rifling through it and reading it and then putting it back.
You open it up. There's notes. in
Notes,
there.
Why'd you tear out the Nebraska section?
Why is Damond Williams circled?
Hey, did you know that it's been that long since Nebraska had double-figure victories? Talk about it tomorrow on the show. Love my mailman Todd. But I'm still wondering what happened to my Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue.
Oh, you think Todd
Oh.
Todd nabbed that?
Well, now he doesn't. He's not my mail guy every day. There's 3 of them,
Okay.
but he's the one that
He
I
would take
enjoy
it?
the most, or I've
Oh,
had
okay.
most interaction with. No, I don't think he'd take it. He'd make a note on it.
Yeah.
So
think-
I never got
Wait.
my Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue. I just got the draft issue.
I was about to say, did you get every other issue
yeah.
outside
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
the? Okay, so did one of the neighborhood kids go and nab it?
because
that
I
would
think it'd be a
be-
little bit difficult.
It's not like the old
It's not like
mailboxes.
the mailbox is wide open and
Oh,
you can just
okay.
reach in.
Okay.
There is a security system with it.
So there would be a little more explaining to do if that happened.
Yeah, I could pinpoint that it's the mailman that took my Sports Illustrated
Carl Malone, you
issue,
bastard.
and he has it at home and he's sharing it with his kids.
When you got your Phil Steele magazine, did you act like Jimmy Fallon in Fever Pitch when he gets the season tickets?
I did not.
Okay.
I just I quietly got in the elevator and
Grinned.
took to my floor and I was like, okay, let's look at this and let's
My night is planned
because
out.
the Phil Steele's son, who does all of his PR, sent me the PDF of the Nebraska page. So
wow.
I've already seen the Nebraska. I saw when they went to print a couple of weeks ago. He sent out the PDF
Okay.
to some people, and I saw it, and so I've already read the Nebraska stuff. But he's high on Nebraska. I mean, he usually is.
Yeah.
He kind of he fell off with Frost.
Okay.
He was a big Scott Frost is going to turn this around, and then as there was more evidence, he became less enthusiastic about Nebraska.
Hey, about
Is he same enthusiastic at this point with
Huh?
Matt Rule, as you would say?
Yeah, a lot of
That's
it's
good to
year
know.
3 stuff.
Yeah.
Like
Now-
if Rule follows the same path, and Phil Steele's big on recruiting and all that
Sure.
kind of stuff. And so-
Have you read any of the pages that you might have read in other books, and have you found any contrast? at
Compare and
this point?
contrast?
Yeah.
oh, everybody says the same thing.
Really?
Year number 3.
Well, I was going to say about other teams, like any other teams.
Oh, I haven't
like
gone.
if,
I've only
You've only
looked
done
through a
Nebraska.
couple of pages.
Gotcha.
Some of us have things to do.
I'm
go to
ex-
F1.
How was it?
It's great. I
and you said IMAX. That's the way to go.
You
got to
go see it. So I went to a little event last night, and I saw it in the IMAX. I
Sure.
think that's the way to watch it because you feel like you're in the cockpit.
Mhm.
It was actually it was
Wow.
good.
That's
It
a
was
good way
good.
to put it.
I'm not. It's not like a rank in my top 3 of all time sports movies, but it was for a race car movie. It was pretty good. It was pretty good. It leads me to believe that there's going to be some crossover between Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise.
Oh,
That'd
Days of
be
Thunder.
incredible.
Yes.
Now, the
Hell
last
yes.
Brad Pitt sport movie
Mhm.
was Moneyball, which is my favorite movie of all time.
Really?
I have way too high of hopes for this movie. I haven't been this hyped for a movie in general since Creed 3. I think that was the last time where I was like, I think I'm going to go in and I'm going to love this movie.
It's an old. I mean, so it's an easy watch. It's about
Yeah.
2.5 hours.
Nice.
Again, you got to watch it in the IMAX because you lose the effect.
Mhm.
But it follows kind of the pattern of old school sports flicks with a good looking star and
Yeah.
some drama. And I'm not going to ruin the ending, but
Sure.
it's good. It's good. But I think we are headed towards a crossover with Tom Cruise. I think Sonny Hayes and Cole Trickle are going to find a way to go at each other. Because the director is the
Okay.
same one that did Maverick,
Oh, okay.
Top Gun,
Okay.
and Top Gun 3 is like in progress.
Uh-huh.
We've had a stretch of sport movies that have been really, really sad, and I don't know if this is
Really?
necessarily.
What am I
Well,
forgetting?
The Iron Claw was probably the saddest movie I've ever been to, where
Yeah.
just everybody dies.
That's how I
That
felt
was-
about Little
that's
Giants
about
and the
saddest
Cowboys
ever?
lost.
No, one of the I've
Also,
never
did you just give it
cried.
away?
I cried. I don't cry at movies.
Really?
I cried at that movie.
I did like that movie. I thought it should have got more run.
I don't think it got enough run at all, and I think it was
That the
more-
wrestling
I-
movie?
Yeah, I
Okay.
still
Von
think it
Erichs.
had
Oh,
like
yes.
I still
yes.
think it had that stigma of like wrestling and just people not wanting to be invested in pro wrestling because they think it's
It's- yeah.
whatever. And then the next one the true next like sport movie I remember watching that I was sad that wasn't that recent ago or that wasn't too far ago was Ford versus Ferrari. That was the last. That was
Which
the
I
last
think,
racing movie.
which in my book is the #1 racing movie of all time.
It's in my top 10.
Oh,
of
so then you
movies of
have
all
to go
time.
to this
Oh,
one.
I
in IMAX.
regularly.
Oh, yeah, you're going tonight.
I'm going tonight. I can't wait. I regularly watch Ford vs. Ferrari. I think Ford vs. Ferrari might be my most rewatched movie, except for the very end when that just absolutely kills me.
It's like me and Porky's.
So no, excuse me.
Oh, yeah.
Porky's?
Porky's, yeah. You go rewatch that all the time. It's a fine
never heard of
movie.
Porky's.
Great family movie.
I haven't watched Porky since it came out.
What is Porky's?
It's a pig movie.
I
Well,
don't think it's a pig movie.
Some people that watched it, depending on your sex, would say that it's a pig movie. Never heard of
Tallywhackers and
Porky's?
whatnot.
Never heard of Porky's.
Never heard of a tallywhacker?
Ball breaker.
Never heard of a Tallywhacker. There's Porky's and Porky's 2. Was the sequel not as good as
Porky's
they were?
2 sucked.
Yeah.
Porky's 1 like hit right at the right time when you were my age.
All right. Well, I immediately I look up Porky's and immediately I see a bunch of women in towels in a shower.
Well, that's
That's
one
part of it.
That's one of the most famous scenes in that movie. Well, it might be the only scene where you go,
There you go. Matt's going to watch that this weekend.
I'm okay.
Where did
I
that
don't
time
need
of
to-
day?
I still
You
need to
would
watch The
enjoy it?
Godfather and The Godfather 2
Ooh, that's a
before I
day.
do anything.
Yeah, you got some catching up to do
Yeah,
before you get to Porky's.
I have a lot. I have seen it. Well, it says people also search for Animal House, so I have seen Animal House. There's Porky's Revenge.
Animal House greater than Porky's.
Mhm.
I mean, I hope so. Animal House is awesome.
Yeah.
What? Animal House is great.
No. We all agree.
Fremont Fred says Porky's 3 was pretty good.
Well, there is a Porky's Revenge. So, I mean,
There's-
they made.
I remember.
Just like I've come to a conclusion about Bear, sometimes you got to stop.
Oh,
you
you
just
is that your
no.
conclusion?
That's the second season you've done this to me.
Oh, no.
Because you were spot on
They
last
had- and
season.
So you said that the initial reviews were good.
Is
that
it better
apparently
at
they got it
least?
back on track. Then I saw yesterday on Twitter it got a 71% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is the lowest score it's gotten. Is it?
I got that in math. It was fine.
I think they should have stopped after season 2.
Whoa.
I think they've
Whoa.
just tried. I think they're done.
But didn't you say that yesterday
I'm not going to
that-
spoil anything. I think the way it lays out that they are done,
Mhm.
but I think it hasn't been the same as it was the first 2 years. And I think because it was so popular and so well done, and there was so much attention towards it, they like, okay, we're already going to do a season 3. Let's do a season 4.
So,
This hits differently,
um,
which sucks because the first 2 years were the first 2 seasons were
Mhm.
fantastic.
they haven't started writing for season 5 yet.
I hope they don't.
Did you finish all of it already? It came out 2 days ago.
Well, the sports
is
died down.
incredible.
There was no
That's a-
baseball last night except
Well,
for Braves Mets.
Well, yeah, it was all early.
It's just
games.
it's an easy
watch.
It's an easy watch.
Is it? How long are the episodes? 40 minutes.
It was about 35.
Yeah. I have to watch. Season 1.
It doesn't. I don't know. This is just my impression. I don't want to.
Sure.
People are going to watch. If you like Bear, you're going to watch it no matter what.
Right.
It didn't leave me hungry for more.
Yeah.
Like I
the
didn't.
first
I
two
didn't like
seasons.
get done and go. You know what? I could. I can't wait till next summer.
I do think we are, though, in more so of a trend of people willing to end series earlier than expected. Like, I think Ted Lasso did a great job of being like,
But they're coming
hey,
back.
now they're coming back. But at least they give us like a long break.
Yeah,
And they take like their time to write it.
But they're coming back because it was so popular and people were demanding it. When you went, oh, we ended this perfectly.
They
It was
wrote
good
a nice
'cause we-
ending.
Again, you got to leave them hungry for more.
When was the last time we had like a true, we're done at 3 seasons and this is it?
I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. I'm that's why I'm asking. I got no clue. I wish people did it more though, because we get to the point where these shows, just in general, I think we just stretch them out way too long. Way too long.
What is so Dexter has come back. I thought
Yes.
I thought Dexter hit the wall and was good the way, just call it good.
Dexter was big when I was his age.
And now Dexter is back.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that they haven't touched. I guess they did Better Call Saul, but there are some shows that they've just ended it completely, where it's just like you can't even touch them anymore.
There's a good example of
And
Two
thank
Shoes
God.
That
You know
and
what?
Breaking
Hey,
Bad. They ended
Hey,
well. Yeah.
Yeah,
Break-
go out on top with shows. It's okay to leave people wanting more, and they're like, "Oh man, I'm disappointed."
It makes you rewatch
Yeah,
because you're like, hey, I know what I'm getting.
like
I
for
like
example, like a series that the last season dropped during COVID and really gets ignored, like Ozark.
Yeah,
Ozark
that's a good
probably was good.
Yeah.
That was enough. They wrapped up majority, if not all, the storylines, and I don't know that it was hungry for more. I was like, okay,
You're satisfied.
They did a good job in the last season of Ozark. You knew that the finish line was coming, and so they didn't rush like wrapping up storylines. They let them play out.
I think
I don't know why Ozark doesn't get more run. People don't. I don't hear a lot of people go, you know what? Hey, we're going to go back and binge watch. They don't say Ozark.
it's
Why?
a stressful show. It's really so. I've watched the first 2 season of Ozarks. I am stressed out a lot during that time, and also too, there definitely are characters who piss you off so much in that show that it's like once you go back and rewatch it, you kind of resent them on the rewatch. Like Wendy, I can't stand Wendy. Like, but I
thought he was good
enjoyed
last night.
Wemby?
Oh, I thought you said Wendy.
No, Wendy.
Oh, Wendy was good too.
Wendy was really good last night.
Wemby, when healthy, is good.
Wemby, when healthy, is one of the best players in the NBA.
Wrap them up in bubble wrap.
But with Wendy in the movie, in the show Ozarks, I'm sick and tired of her. I can't stand her. There's nothing that she does. And then when I go and like rewatch season 1, I'm still mad at her the entire time.
Who'd you say?
Wendy.
Okay. I thought
Am
you
I
said,
saying that wrong?
I think you said Wemby.
Wendy.
Wendy.
Shout out Dave Thomas.
Wendy.
Oh,
Great
thought
tin.
we thought you were saying Wemby.
No,
did hear
are my D's become B's and my T's have
I
become
don't know,
D's?
the N and the M was in there. But yes, but she's a great character.
She is. She's a great.
Like,
That means
villain.
she plays it well if you can't stand her.
I can't stand her.
Mhm.
I get so
I
mad
mean,
at
she's
her
a
during that
female
show.
Justin Timberlake.
Like visually, like, or I don't get that reference.
Oh yeah, she cried him a river.
All right.
What am I missing?
TGI Friday. I thought you were talking about Wemby.
No, I was talking about Wendy from Ozarks. She's the worst. But the mark of a good TV show is when everybody knows about the finale. When everyone's like, "Oh my god, the finale is tonight. We have to watch the finale tonight.
MASH.
This is the last one." Not like Big Bang Theory, where it was just like, "Oh, I guess they're ending."
So who did you dislike more? Ruth, who is the female Justin Timberlake, or Wendy Bird? Wendy.
Wendy.
Ruth did it for me more though, but I have personal issues. So.
Ruth was.
You guys seen Ruth post Ozark?
Yeah. Well, she
No.
did the was it Inventing Anna or something like? Yeah, she's good in that.
What has she done post Ozark?
Well,
She
that
hasn't
was
done a
one.
ton.
Yeah.
I mean, you do those series and you kind of get typecast.
I was gonna.
Did you
Jason
ever?
Bateman hasn't done a ton since then.
No, he hasn't.
I mean, maybe his best roles have been in the Bateman commercials.
Hogan family.
Have
Banter.
you done
I need
Bridgerton?
to.
Have you done Forced to do Bridgerton at all?
No.
Okay. I didn't
There could be
know.
there could be no
I-
force
If
in
that
it.
happens, I don't know you anymore.
I didn't.
I can't
didn't
picture
know.
you watching Bridgerton.
I didn't know
There
if
could be
you
none of
have
that.
gotten forced to watch Bridgerton yet. It's actually a really good show.
6
Okay.
months from now, you boys should watch Bridgerton.
I mean, I watched season 1. It was pretty damn good. and there's the Duke, and he's like the main dude character.
Oh yeah, it's like
And
the
he
Warriors.
was awesome as the Duke. But then he left the show because he's like, I don't just want to be remembered only as the Duke. Like, I don't want to get typecasted. Like, this is what I do. And he hasn't gotten a role since. Hasn't gotten one thing since. One thing notable since.
That's true. You
Yeah.
say the
It's
same about
tough.
Stifler.
Well, I mean, look at people from Seinfeld.
Yeah.
I mean, one canceled himself. Jason Alexander did a show shortly thereafter, and it just
Veep was good.
Veep was really, really good.
Yeah, but
but Jerry didn't do anything.
No.
He make cameos on Curb, and he didn't have to.
No.
But when you're on one of those long shows, like like Ted Danson, surprisingly has gone on and done like key roles, not like supporting stuff. When you're on shows, television shows that go for a while, it's tough to go like to something else because I always see them like that. Like look at anybody from Modern Family.
Oh,
Modern Family was on the air for what 11 years.
Yeah.
Even Big Bang Theory.
Well, none of
That
those
was
people have
12, I
done
think.
any of those.
Well,
And
like
then-
look at Friends.
Aniston though, but Aniston was helped out incredibly by Sandler. But outside of
But
that,
she went to do movies.
Yes,
Like-
that's
like
true.
being
Oh,
on
if you're
another
talking
television.
TV shows,
Yeah.
oh, I haven't. I really don't. I think once you do one iconic TV show, it's almost impossible.
That's true.
to, like-
Courtney Cox had that
like, redo.
Cougar Town. I remember that. That was okay.
Yeah, that didn't last very long on
No.
ABC.
Yeah. What's his name? Not Joey? Matt
I mean,
LeBlanc.
none of-
Yeah,
well,
he had a
Joey-
show that got
Joey did a
canceled.
show called Joey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
which-
They tried.
That did not go well.
I mean, like the like
I
it's
get
tough to
it.
do a spinoff. Like not everybody's Fraser Crane.
well, there was
That's the truth.
everyone from How I Met Your Mother. Like none of them did
Mhm.
anything after that either. And I don't even think they got into movies. Like I don't know.
Well, to be
Jason
fair,
Segel
Allison
done
Hannigan will
anything
always be
since
known with band camp.
How I Met Your Mother.
Did I what?
Did Jason Segel, has he done anything since How I Met Your Mother?
He's done movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think he's done any
No.
regular TV stuff.
Well, the
He did something
I
with
think
Harrison
her name was
Ford.
Kobe Smulders. She's Maria Hill. I mean, she did like the Shield TV show,
Oh,
but
yeah.
like Marvel has tried to get into these TV shows and they've gone absolutely terrible for 'em.
all right. Coming up on and by the way, good morning to everybody at Memorial Park.
Yeah.
Jimmy, did you drive by
Ringo.
Memorial Park this
I
morning?
did. Apparently, Meg almost hit someone because you had people that ignored crosswalks and were darting across
Oh,
a dark street.
Got to keep your head on a swivel before they
That's-
shut down that stretch right in front of
Yep.
Memorial Park because people
Oh, yeah.
at
Okay.
5
If you're
o'clock.
going that way, watch it. Yeah.
5 o'clock when it
Ringo.
opens, they want to get their spot with their blanket.
This is for
Oh,
Ringo, right?
Yeah,
Tonight? Yeah. At
Ringo Starr
least the weather will
and
be
his
okay.
all-star band.
Does he have an all-star band behind him?
That's the name of his band.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's what
okay.
it-
I had no clue.
Mhm.
I won't be at Memorial
It's
Park
a
tonight.
popular phrase by you.
I
I have no clue.
I don't have any when it comes to music and TV shows. I'm like swimming in the deep end sometimes.
All right, so the dog days of sports have arrived. If you can guess by the opening segment, ahead of all the local
was
guys in the NBA draft, it has. Listen, Scott Van Pelt after the NBA draft last night signed off. You know when he is back?
August.
He
Is he taking a 50-day hiatus?
He has a schedule that Matt would love. He's not back.
So in
until
school?
he's not back until the 26th of August.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
Whoa!
yeah.
Whoa!
We'll be talking ball by then.
That is crazy. What do you mean we'll be talking ball? We'll be playing ball.
This
Ball
is
will be
true. Oh,
played.
that's true.
He'll be back.
I
game
will have
week.
already been to a game.
How would you love to have that schedule? Once the College World Series is over and you don't come back until the first week of
Well,
the Husker season?
He
I'm
goes.
surprised you never
Yesterday
finagled
he
that.
did a
in your years here.
promo with Stan for Steve about, hey, we're going to do ESPN 50 Skates in 50 Days, and I thought he was going to be an integral part of 50 Skates in 50 Days if he's on the promo. He's on for 2 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. He
Have
said-
fun, guys.
He said they kind of wrapped up, I don't know, Sports Center to a season. They kind of wrapped it up, and he was like, "See you in August." And
Reruns.
so then I saw online that somebody said, "Yeah, he's not back until August 26th."
I can't wait to see the videos of like Scott Van Pelt running shirtless in the DMV, you know, getting his off-season workout in. He should go ahead and come back like ripped.
Yeah,
Like-
I think. So does ESPN have the Open
The
next month? Like I would imagine he's
Oh,
involved
sure,
in like
sure.
some game coverage or golf coverage, but like the Sports Center part, he is off until the 26th of August.
Let me
Yeah,
see.
that could be his vacation.
No,
going
it's
out.
on NBC and USA.
Okay, so he's
He's done.
he gone.
He's out.
He
He
gone.
goes. It's a fan.
10 weeks. 10-week vacation is awesome.
Well, I mean, unfortunately for ESPN, he's
one
right
of
now
the-
one of the rare guys that you tune in to watch every night. They're giving him a break.
Some might say that him, Kornheiser, and Wilbon might be the only three they got right now.
Yeah, I love PTI.
Yeah.
PTI not being together
In studio?
Yeah, since COVID. And periodically,
They never went back.
Kornheiser. Well,
Damn.
Kornheiser,
Oh.
once in a while of late, will come back in and they're together. But Wilbon is all over the country, like his home in Arizona or be in Chicago or he's with the NBA. The show
in
isn't as
Chicago a
good
lot.
because they're not with each other in person. They're in two boxes instead of being in a two shot.
When they're together, you're like, oh my God. Like
Yeah.
that happened like
They've
a month
lost
ago.
their fastball a little bit. It's a little bit different with
And-
not in person.
Well, that, and I think that they've just gotten older. And you definitely could tell that
And
the
Wilbon
energy,
has gotten more crotchety.
he has gotten angry.
Yeah,
To be
very
fair, so have
crotchety.
I.
Well, the funny thing is that Wilbon calls in every Wednesday in Chicago, and he just still calls in. Like you could
That's cool. That's cool.
He could easily though go into the studio and just he's still in that area. He could just walk there and go there, and he
you could
still
get up
calls
off
in.
the
I kind of
couch.
respect it. I kind of respect just sticking with the slant and being like, I'm doing all my interviews on the phone. I'm staying home, baby. Because I don't know if other than the NBA coverage, how much he's traveling for stories.
He
anymore.
doesn't. So
Yeah.
he lives in D.C. because that's where that show is based. Because half the studio is PTI, and then the other half is Scott Van Pelt's Sports Center studio.
Mm.
And then he has a home in Arizona, and I think he still has his condo in Chicago because he
Yeah.
used to be Kyle Schwarber's neighbor.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
living in downtown Chicago.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
I didn't know that. That's
All right,
cool-
coming
cool
up on the
boy.
show, Mike Schaefer will stop by at 9. Matt Verzal chimes in about 9:20. That's the lineup brought to you by the Rooferys at John Higgins Weather Guard. The NBA draft is over. Ryan Kalkbrenner went 34 to Charlotte. It's not where, it's who.
Yes.
And so, and I think this whether he would have gone to, he couldn't go to the Celtics at 32 because they traded the pick. Jesus. Well, that's a whole nother thing. The NBA's
Yeah.
got to figure out with
Yeah,
trades and
we gotta
stuff and
talk
hats and
about
all that.
Ugh.
But he's wherever Kalkbrenner goes, in my opinion, he is going to have a serviceable 10-year career
Sounds
in the
pretty
NBA.
good.
If he works on the fluidity of guarding the pick and roll,
Mm-hmm.
I think he will have a nice 10-year career. But he goes to a place where
I think it's
all of a sudden, no Mark Williams, 15 to 22 minutes a game, possibly have opened up for him, maybe a little bit more.
Mhm.
I
They had a
think
good draft.
Nowhere to go but
perfect
up.
situation. I think it's the perfect situation. I don't think you really could have fit in anywhere better.
Thought of your roommate last
I
night
mean-
when I saw that. Hey, it's Charlotte again. I
I
wonder
know.
what
I
happened.
called him in the room. I go, this might be the spot again. He went. I mean, it was great. I mean, Charlotte. Now this is a big year for LaMelo Ball because he has to prove that he can stay healthy. And when he
Yeah.
is healthy, he is one of the best point guards in the NBA. But he's played less than 50 games in his last 3 seasons. But you pair Ball with Miller, and then you look at their 2 other draft picks in McNeely and Knipple, who were both 40% 3-point shooters.
Mhm.
Charlotte's building something with they have playmaking,
Be kinda
they
fun to
have
watch.
spacing, they have speed, and then you fit in a Ryan Kalkbrenner, who, if you have any concern on Charlotte's end, its defense, he's going to be a defensive anchor. And it is pretty similar in terms of Creighton loved to run and gun. Creighton loved the spacing. Creighton loved to do, had elite ball handlers, had people who can
Mhm.
regularly facilitate him around the ring, around the hoop. It's going to happen again.
Yeah, he'll be a rotational player at least
At
for
least.
10 years in the NBA. Well, you're leaving
It
out,
pays
you're
well,
leaving out
too.
a guy that I think is the most important guy for Charlotte,
Who's that?
Brandon Miller.
Well, I
So
did say
they
Brandon.
got Ball and Miller.
Yeah.
They improved their wings. They had a nice draft.
They did.
They drafted the Bryce Williams lookalike, according to ESPN, who I don't know what he's going to do in the NBA. I wasn't a big fan when he was at Duke and James. But they had a really, really good draft. I think it's just a good spot for him.
Yeah.
Now, we have a lot of business going on in the NBA, especially when it comes to local, because John Tonje went to Utah, who had a really nice draft.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait for the Ainge, the father and son, to stiff arm Ace Bailey and say you are coming to Salt Lake City. I don't know what Ace Bailey's thinking. I'm not sure if he's familiar with how the draft works in the NBA. It's not like in college.
I wish him the worst. Go John
kind of
Tonje.
pick. But those are the only 2 local that got drafted. We'll talk about Hunter Salas because I'm still a mystery. But he signed a 2-way with Philadelphia.
Okay.
He's going to play in the summer league
Mhm.
with St. Thomas. Stephen Ashworth to Indiana. Jemiah Neal to Charlotte.
Mm.
Who else? Oh, Chucky Hepburn to Toronto on a 2-way. I don't think, as of right now, I've not seen who Bryce Williams has signed with, because Bryce Williams went undrafted last night.
He has not, looking up here on Twitter, he has not been reported to sign anywhere. Kevin O'Connor did a My Top 10 Undrafted Free Agents last night around like midnight, and he put Bryce Williams there. Since then, he had Hunter Salas at the top of that. He's been signed too, so now he's moved down to 6.
I think somebody would have to give him a shot. Send him to Summer League.
I do think
I'd like to watch him play.
Well, he's a better prospect than Casey, but his age is working against him.
That, and I think the style of play too. I think the fact that he is a 3-level scorer where you're going to have to give him the ball a lot in order for him to do what he does best. I just don't think teams are willing to do that with a second-round pick, let alone an undrafted free agent now.
Well, I mean, it's a little bit different with undrafted free agent, isn't it?
Well,
I mean, you can take a chance. I mean, look at that Summer League rosters have 17, 18 guys on it.
I was talking more so on the NBA roster, right? If you have an undrafted...
Well, you never know. I mean...
you do.
You never know what happens. I mean, all of those things that are valid that you're mentioning about him, the easy way to overcome them is to get on a roster, get a two-way, start in the G League, and then prove people wrong.
That and...
the age... He can score. I mean, he's shown that he can be a scorer. I think the age is a little bit working against him, but it was just the NBA draft is changing. Like the second round isn't as sexy because of NIL. I mean, more guys that would have been drafted in the second round have come back to college basketball.
And they make way more money.
Benefit for college basketball. But the second round just kind of was...
There was there was way more international flavor in the second round than there typically is. Because typically you do have like your Kofi Coburns and your Ayo DeSumus and your like All-Americans and your Draymond Greens and you're like, holy crap, these guys were really, really good in college. Jalen Brunson is a shining example of that. By
the way, one of the best second-round picks of all time.
Best second-round picks of all time.
Jokic, Ginobili, Brunson, and Draymond Green are 4 that I can think of right away that were second-round picks that have panned out pretty well.
Kyle Korver.
One of them got a Taco Bell commercial. I was looking for that last night.
Shaz Lanier from Tennessee got drafted during a commercial last night. He might have a Hall of Fame career.
Watch out on him.
Malcolm Brogdon. I think he was in the second round. Jimmy Butler was 1 pick away from being in the second round. That would have been a good ad. He went to the last pick in the first round. But
I mean, 3 of those guys that I just mentioned are going to be in the Hall of Fame.
It's just
one of them is. I think he's in already.
What? Green, Ginobili, and
Jokic.
Oh, easily.
I'm pretty certain Manu's in already. Yeah, they're all in.
But with the second round, like I was amazed yesterday by how much better the coverage of that second round was than the first round. Like that should not.
As soon as I saw the panel, I was like, okay.
I mean, it was a perfect panel.
Basketball.
It was the perfect panel where you had the salary cap guy, the news guy, you had the college guy, and you had the former general manager, and then you had Malika Andrews, who in her own right knows a lot about the league.
I like her.
And did a very good job of passing that around. It's just how many times were we like, who has this pick?
Yeah. Well, there's the energy of day 2 of the NBA draft. Feels like you're living in a warehouse.
It was quiet.
It feels like 20 years ago what the NFL draft used to be like, where it was just kind of stale.
Saturday
and now, even like look at the second day of the NFL draft compared to last night. First of all, it looks like it looks like it's in the Brooklyn Net team store. They have a different crew.
You're not far off.
We're in unison here. Day 2 ESPN crew was the right mix. I would have had Scott Van Pelt as the host.
That's the one. Yes.
I mean,
that would have been good.
I mean,
he knows so much ball.
I don't think that he would have confused Cedric Cowherd with Colin Cowherd.
Yeah. That wasn't.
Scott Van Pelt would have been a much better host. But they just don't. There's no energy. There's no reason. There's no reason that production should be 2 days.
The most entertaining thing of the night is when Spike Lee stood up and then they told him, hey, Spike, we didn't draft this guy for the New York Knicks, so you can sit back down. And then they picked another guy and then he stood up again. That and when Brooks Barnheiser got picked. Go Cats.
I almost texted you.
First time since
1999, baby.
All right.
Yeah. I mean,
Speaking of Manu Ginobili,
I'm going to be honest with you. I thought Vic Law was going to be that guy to do it. He wasn't. And then Pete Nance, I thought he had a real shot at being him. I remember watching Pete Nance and being like, that's our NBA prospect, but he did nothing. He was useless for the Cats. Sorry, Pete. No offense. Love your family. Great basketball family. But I took a 5-minute break from day 2 of the NBA draft. I needed just a little time to not hear about the second apron for like 2 seconds, or the iron apron, or whatever the hell they want to call it. Yeah. So I just went to
Satan is in hell apron.
Yes. that and you're going to have to spend $500 million on your roster apron. So I went and I just laid down on my bed. I just took a little just 5-minute break.
Oh, yeah, I do that
just
every day.
Stretched it out. And then all of a sudden I get a CBS notification. Brooks Barnhizer has been drafted by the Oklahoma City Thunder, which on the CBS big board, Barnhizer was ranked 71st. Ranked 70th was Bryce Williams. And so I remember looking at Barnhizer being like, oh, good for him that he's even in the convo.
He'll be in the
Gets
summer league,
drafted.
yeah.
I jump up from my seat and I run over to my TV. And then Jay Billis talked about him for 10 seconds and then they moved on. I don't think anybody knew other than Jay Billis who Brooks Barnhizer was on that panel. Nobody. It was great. And then Jay was like, oh, he's tough.
Well,
all right.
So this is why I'm not all enamored with Malika Andrews on draft coverage. You guys catch something she did when Kalkbrenner got drafted?
No. What did she do?
I don't think she knows how to pronounce his last name.
What'd she say?
Ryan.
Oh, come on.
Just Ryan?
Just Ryan.
He's a soccer player now.
Just Ryan. And there was
Ryan.
there was a long pause before they ran the package on ESPN of Kalkbrenner. But she went, Ryan. And there was this pause. And immediately I thought, she just glanced at the name and it's caught her off guard. And so she's not going to step in it and mispronounce it.
Yeah. Because if she mispronounces that.
How do you mispronounce
I was about to
Kalkbrenner?
say it's a 2-word last name.
But all
Kalk
she said was Ryan. Now to Creighton fans, he's become a one-word guy. You just say Ryan and they're like, not Nemhart? No, Kalkbrenner.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Kalk. I mean,
well, it would have been uncomfortable if she was saying Big Kalk.
The biggest.
But she didn't say his last name.
There was one draft pick that got graded an A+ yesterday. An A+. One draft pick the entire draft.
Cam Jones?
Can you guess who it was?
Cam Jones? Yes, and just on day 2?
No, the entirety of the draft. Only one A+ from CBS Sports.
Like
Carter
an
Bryant.
individual player?
Yeah, like hey, this was an A+ draft pick. There was one A+.
That would be Cooper Flagg.
Well, that was an A.
Carter Bryant.
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. But you can't. It's not an A+ because you can't screw it up. There's no skill in that. There's zero skill in drafting Cooper.
So you
Flagg.
should get credit for not doing something stupid.
The Clippers screwed up with all
what
candy.
Nico said? Did you hear Nico said fortune favors the bold? You mean the ping pong balls favors your stupid decision?
Yeah, I think it's valid to ask Cooper Flagg if he is part of a conspiracy theory.
I
think that's a valid
the flag theory.
You might get knocked if you're a reporter. People are like, you're an idiot for asking that kid and putting him in that situation. I think it's a fair question. First of all, Cooper Flagg's the real deal, and I think that's a real question to go. Do you feel like, you know what, this is a little conspiracy theory that you're part of, that you're going to Dallas?
I think you get roasted for asking that.
But it's a fair question, right?
Well, here's
isn't it?
It's a very fair
because
question.
That's what everybody else
The
is.
best part-
Do we not remember when we did the lottery balls?
He was texting me during the lottery when I was in
tell
the
you
ER, and I was like, this is rigged.
Let me tell you this. This is the best NBA rigging of a draft lottery because they actually got the reporters in front of the ping pong balls and the reporters saw the ping pong balls pop up. So the fact that they were able to rig it in plain sight was absolutely
one of those
incredible.
magicians. Like
because
David
now
Blaine.
you have all these reporters being like, no, I was there. I saw the ping pong balls pop up. Here's the energy of the building. It's even better. I mean, they are getting, screw the frozen envelope, man. I mean, whoever is in the NBA conspiracy department, we need to get them in the government or something. All right. They are very good at their job.
We are off and running on a Friday. We'll talk more about the draft because locally, kind of interesting. Of where guys ended up or where guys did not go. And not everybody can have the luxury of Duke that had all 5 starters that were drafted in this year's NBA draft. Plus, we'll talk some ball, and I'm going to give some love to a bartender today.
Hey, okay. I'm a fan of that. Might be someone I know.
Little before your time.
Oh, okay.
Little before your time.
Okay.
But I'm going to give some love to a bartender who I think needs more love in Lincoln.
Okay.
Yes. Also, we're going to talk about your favorite college football team.
The Northwestern Wildcats?
The truth comes out.
No? Sorry. The Nebraska Cornhuskers. Nebraska.
You have to wait and see. Plus, we have a couple of pairs of tickets to give away to Adam Sandler. You're My Best Friend tour.
I already got an email. You didn't even ask a question yet.
That's true. He'll be at the Chai on October 21st, and we have a pair of tickets to give away before 10. So you got to listen all morning. It's Gary and Matt with Jimmy on 1620 The Zone. All right, welcome in on a Feel Good Friday. We are on to the 26 NBA draft.
It's going to be loaded.
KU, Peterson could be the second overall pick behind AJ from BYU.
Is there already a 2026 NBA mock draft?
Hell
You know
yes,
there
there is. Boozer Cam Boozer's kid will probably go in the top 5.
It was so funny seeing Carlos Boozer on the ACC network last year, and then his boys were like, "Oh, they're 2 of the best in the country. Wonder where they're gonna go."
Carolina
They end up going
it is.
to Duke.
Oh,
I don't think Duke is slowing down anytime soon.
No. So Cam Boozer projected to go 3 to the Charlotte Hornets. They're already projecting.
All right, so they're out on the Hornets.
Hey,
This is actually. Can I be honest?
Carl
with
Brenner, you might want to. I mean, you
can get 30 minutes.
Hey, you won a lot at Creighton. Just prepare for losing.
This is actually, I used to do this like a very good way to get like your power rankings heading into next season. Like, where do they think everybody is going to draft next year already? So Sacramento drafting is projected to be.
We had a good draft. We had a good draft.
Sacramento projected to be the last lottery pick, which means that CBS Sport indirectly is projecting the Bulls to make the playoffs next year.
There you go.
Let's go. Come on, team.
All right, so if you missed it last night, Kalkbrenner goes 34 to Charlotte. Good situation for him. They had a really nice draft with the players they added, so him and Liam McNeely will get to hang out together. And John Tonje went 53rd to Utah, who, despite the drama with Ace Bailey, I think they had a really good draft. Clayton Jr., Tonje, who will score.
Yeah.
We'll see how much he gets the free throw line like he did at Wisconsin. And then you throw in Ace Bailey. That was a good draft for Utah. So 2 good spots for the 2 guys that got drafted. And then everybody else immediately. Shams was just how many? I mean, his ability to tweet that quickly with all the 2-way deals, like right when the draft ended.
Yeah,
they're like bang, 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 bang. So Chucky, Saint, Hunter, Ashworth, Jemiah, no Bryce yet.
I would love to see his templates. He's got to have templates, right? For like in the drafts on Twitter, where it's just like he's got his breaking template. He probably already has his Giannis tweet ready to go. He already had his Kevin Durant tweet ready to go. He would actually be, if we were like deciding other good jobs for people in certain professions, Shams would be great at the clerk at the court, right? That's got to write down all the people. The court reporter. Shams would be an incredible. I've seen it live in action. I've seen him at the gym where he does his set, and he's right back on his phone. He's tweeting, drops the phone, does the set again. It's impressive stuff.
Coming up a little bit later, Mike Schaefer, Matt Verzal. But first, on the Prairie Flower Casino Hotline, Nebraska ball, Mike. Hello.
Hello.
All right, you and Matt all squared up to meet today.
I'll send you a message, Nebraska, Mike. We'll get it all figured out. We'll do that today.
There regardless, I just want to have some fun and see who shows up.
All right, so it'll be a one-man party at the casino today.
My friends come with me, so I'll do my thing.
All right, she likes to get after it.
Never mind. I don't know who you're talking about, but never mind. Matt.
Yes.
You wanted a 3-year show that's really good?
A 3-year. Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Give it to me, Mike.
Are you into animation?
Anime or animation?
I guess this case would be anime.
No, I'm not an anime. I'm not an anime guy, unfortunately.
Go to...
Were you going to say Dragon Ball Z?
Netflix has the live action, but the anime version was really, really good. Avatar.
Oh, The Last Airbender. Yes, I've seen Avatar. I've watched
That
Avatar.
was the last anime that I watched. I was in college when it came out. It was really good.
It's
So
incredible anime. Have you ever seen anime?
That would be the last 3-year show that was in, that duration that was any good.
Yeah.
The live action's not bad.
Sure. There's plenty. If you still like it, though, Full Metal Alchemist is a good anime, or One Punch Man, or Dragon Ball Z.
I only got into... Avatar was the only anime I really got into because it was Americanized and it actually made sense.
Yeah. No, watch Full Metal Alchemist. I think you'll like it. It's a good one.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah. There you go. There's a suggestion for you.
I have a plan today that I'm going to go execute, and we'll see what happens.
I love that.
All right, let everybody know where you're going to be today at 1 o'clock.
Yeah, where are you going to be?
I will be at the Warhorse Casino on 63rd and 2th Street.
Right.
Yeah, it's on 60th.
You're gonna have your own. You gonna have your own room, or are we gonna be
bottle service?
I don't know
where
about
the
that.
ponies are, or the sports book? Okay.
Oh, we can set you up at the.
All right. All right, but you're squared away with Matt here, so
we're squared.
There's no confusion.
We're squared. 1 o'clock.
No, we're good.
All
I'll
right.
see you there.
Anybody wants to join me for lunch is more than welcome.
All right. Are you buying?
I don't know about that.
Okay. Well, I just had to
I have
ask.
budget. I know what I'm sticking to.
All right.
that.
All right. And you got your bets. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, is this a meeting going to be all over social media? So you're going to show your slips and all that kind of stuff?
Ooh, that's
You
true.
know me. I don't do a lot of social media anymore
I know.
unless you know.
I remember we helped you.
You did.
Yeah. Yep. You tweet
did.
you tweet a lot better these days. You stay
I
away.
tweet
You
a
stay
lot-
away
I
from
tweet
them
a lot
people.
less.
Yeah. All right.
I tweet a lot less. There's a lot of nonsense out there I don't need to be involved in.
Hey, don't worry. We're the countdown, man. We're less than 60 days away, and then we're going to be tweeting up a storm.
Well, if this team gives us a reason to.
Ooh, that's a good point.
I love that.
That's a good point.
Love that.
Mike, I hope a lot of people show up. Nebraska Mall Mike will be at Warhorse Casino at 1 o'clock today.
With Matt.
With Matt.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right. Thank you.
God, I love that. When you go in with a plan, there's nothing better when you're like, all right, I got the budget, I got the plan, I know what I'm hitting, I know what I'm betting on. When you go and execute like that, things go great. When you have a plan, things go better until you get punched in the mouth. Until Virginia Tech loses their first game of the season after you bet that they'd make it to the college football playoff.
You should be punched in the mouth for thinking that Virginia Tech would make it to the college football playoff.
They were bringing back like 20 starters, and they were 7-5 or 6-6 the year before. And I thought in the ACC that was a little bit weaker. You know, the electric run game that they had, I thought that they were going to be able. They were playing Vanderbilt week 1. I didn't think Diego Pavia was going to do that to me.
Really? You probably got pretty good odds.
I was like plus 8,500 or something like,
Okay.
or not. That wasn't that big, but it was a lot. It was big. It was bigger than my Travis Hunter to win Heisman bet.
Oh, that's right.
Which I'm still riding high off
Yes,
of,
you are.
which I'm never going to let anybody forget about that.
All right, hour in the books, 3 to go. Coming up in the next hour, we'll give you a chance to win a pair of tickets to go see Adam Sandler, who will be in action on the basketball court. Well, actually, in an arena that has a basketball court before the basketball season begins. He'll be here in October with his new tour. Hasn't been in Omaha to do his stand-up since
A couple of years because I was here.
December of 22.
Oh, there you go.
I think that was the last time he did a stand-up in Omaha. So we got a pair of tickets coming up in the next hour on Gary and Matt with 1620 The Zone. All right, good Monday morning, everybody. Welcome. You know who else I did not mention that had a sign we went undrafted last night? Like RJ Lewis went undrafted.
Yeah.
Again, should have come back to college. He would have been a $2+ million guy if he would have come back to college.
Easily.
Mark Sears didn't get drafted either from Alabama, and he was an AP All-American.
So I was sitting there and I was kind of counting down the picks and looking at Jay Billis's big board to see, okay, where Bryce could potentially go. And as the picks went on, it kind of dwindled one by one. It's like, he may not have enough room here. And I saw Mark Sears was 2 spots behind Bryce Williams. And I was floored. Like, that guy, was incredible last year. And the amount of big shots that he made, especially down like their playoff stretch. I remember right before the end of the regular season, that incredible Auburn game, Alabama Auburn, and how great he was in that. He was so good for 2 years. And then but that's the difference. And I think that's why we don't have as much interest in the NBA draft as the NFL draft. Because in the NFL draft,
because there's no energy in the NBA draft.
Well, that and
especially day 2.
If a player like of the caliber of Mark Sears in college football played to the level that he played at, he would easily be taken in the first round. And whoever drafted him, whatever NFL team drafted like a Mark Sears type talent, they'd be like, "Oh my God, I'm so excited."
A little bit. That's a tough comparison because there's 7 rounds in the NFL.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And you have.
But I'm just talking about like from a college production. If you have college production like Mark Sears did in college football, you are a first round pick. There's no discussion of if you're going to get undrafted, which is crazy.
Well, so what if I would have told you in 2023, after a trip to the Elite Eight, that Art Kaluma would not get drafted? If Art Kaluma would have stayed at Creighton, would he have been a first-round guy?
I think.
Who did he sign with?
I don't know.
But Art Kaluma, who got to live in Manhattan and Austin, was undrafted as well. I was excited. When Kalkbrenner and Broom went back-to-back at 34 and 35, I'm like, ooh, the veteran college big man. Here we go. And then you're right. You said earlier, a plethora of foreign players.
So many. The Bulls took an Australian. I was like, we took a Frenchman and an Australian.
They love them Euros.
Well, Arturis loves them Euros. Doesn't want to take any. He signed with the Lakers.
Okay.
So Arthur Kaluma is going to the Lakers. I think
he'll be able to play with Bronny James in the summer league.
Yes,
that's pretty cool. You know what the next step of the NBA is? Well, because they will have. I imagine like Devin Booker has a big contract that's supposed to be announced here shortly.
Mm-hmm.
The league opens up for business, free agency. There probably will be a couple of more trades, but then they will be all in on promoting something they started to promote last night.
What is that?
Did you see?
I did not.
July 10th. The opening of the NBA Summer League in Vegas, the Lakers and the Mavs.
Oh.
Bronny against Cooper Flag. They will run that game into the ground before tip-off at the Thomas and Mack Center.
It really should be Dalton Connect versus Cooper Flag. That's more important for the future of the LA Lakers. No offense to Bronny.
You think Bronny found out on TV last night that he was playing in the Summer League for the second straight year?
I don't think Bronny seems like the type of guy where he just doesn't pay attention to that stuff. He just goes to practice and plays video games. He's kind of like if Kyler Murray were a middling like NFL player. But what I was going to say about you bring up an interesting point with Kaluma and would he have been a first-round draft pick? I remember that
because Ryan Nembhard, who I don't think was going to be, even if he stayed at Creighton. But there's 2 guys off that Elite Eight team. You look at that Elite Eight team, and when it comes to the NBA draft,
oh well,
not bad. But those are like Kaluma and Nembhard were part of it. But Kaluma, I don't know. I think if he stays, he's probably a first-round guy.
He was projected to go later. In the first round before he transferred the first time in like the 20, kind of where Hunter Salas was projected to go. And I think this is an interesting combo because in football, when we talk about NIL, I think there's a ton of benefit of staying for your, for a third year, for a fourth year, for a fifth year, because look at a guy like Quinn Ewers. Like if he stayed at Texas or, went into the transport or went somewhere else, he would have made a lot of money. And the NFL, the NFL was still going to be there. If anything, he could have improved his NFL draft stock with a really good season. With the NBA, if you're a draft prospect, if you're in the first round, and it's not even just a lottery thing, if you're just in the first round, go. Get out. Because I don't think I think we've been proven here.
Well, was there anybody that you thought was going to be first round that stayed in college?
Hunter Salas, I think, is a great example.
No, like this year.
This
year.
This year?
Because this is the year that I
Sure.
noticed it more, the way the second round worked, that the NIL and college basketball kicked in, that we got lucky. There were some
It
guys.
made more financial
there's
sense.
some guys that stayed in college instead of they would have been second rounders. Any first round guys?
Yaxel Lendenborg. He's going to be from Michigan. He was a guy who was potential like a lottery late first round pick. He got paid a lot of money by Dusky May and Michigan, but he's going to be 22 now, you know? And so like, I worry about guys like that. Like if you're
people
Cooper
used
Flagg,
to get drafted at that age.
See Cooper Flagg being like the whole thing of, is he going to stay another year, or any of these top 5 picks being like, are we going to stay another year?
Nobody thought that.
Okay. But I'm throwing this out. When you're like 18 or 19 and you're in that realm of like, you're super, super young, you could stay another year and you could be like, okay, like, hey, maybe we can up our draft stock. But once you get to 21, once you get to 22, just seems like the death mark. 22, 23 for the NBA. Like once you get to that age, it just seems like your stock just takes a massive dip. So I just think the contrast of like in college football, it's like, it's really good for you to stay as long as possible, unless you're like out of eligibility or you're for sure going to be a first round pick. But for the NBA, I feel like when you're in that top 30, just go and do it.
Yeah. I like, that's the only one that you thought that probably would have been a first round guy.
Yeah. I can't, I can't think of anyone else off the top of my head. If I went back through Haggerty from Memphis, I think he could have probably been drafted with what he did at Memphis, and then he ended up transferring to a different school.
Where did he end up at?
I think Kansas State is where he ended up at.
Creighton and Nebraska fans will get to see him play.
He was great at Memphis. He was, so he's a Kansas State.
That's where all transfers go for at least a year. At some point,
a lot of them do.
Some point they'll go, Jerome Tang. But last night also, so part of, again, locally, Kalkbrenner goes, Tanjay goes to Utah, and I think that's a really, really good spot for him. And, of course, I've told the story numerous times. It's a great story, period, is the Hunter Salas thing. So Hunter had a big deal at Let It Fly. I got asked on Twitter last night about Kalkbrenner. Kalkbrenner's draft party was exactly like his personality. Low-key, at his house, and he wanted his college basketball coach to be there, and Mac was there.
Have a nice meal.
Yeah, I mean,
watch some TV.
He wasn't going to go down to Let It Fly and have a big thing, but it was cool that, because there's a lot of local people and all of his coaches, and Hunter had a deal that he was there, is what happened in terms of his stock. Because even, like, throw a guy a bone, and even if he's in the 50s that gets drafted, but for somebody that was a first-round pick last year, came back to Wake Forest, and now is an undrafted free agent, and I think it's still an iffy thing. I mean, he's kind of a tweener in terms of size. He's going to Philadelphia, and St. Thomas will be with him. Is what happened? Why he was not drafted at all? Because I think he's solid offensively. I think he's a quality, reliable defender. Now, I wonder, and again, the size, a little bit of a tweener, is do people look at his three-point shooting and go, well, maybe last year was an outlier. He won't be able to do that consistently at the next level.
See, that is where it is the three-point shooting. He's a 6'5" guard who shot 27% from three-point last year. And he played in the ACC, and, so he went on this incredible stretch where he scored 20+ against James Madison, Clemson, Syracuse, NC State, Miami, Stanford, Virginia Tech, right? Those teams, none of those teams very good last year. But when he played the North Carolinas, he scored 14 points. When he played Duke, he scored 12 points. When he played against Louisville, he scored 13 points, and he got thrown out of the game in one of those in one of those meetings.
Such a terrible.
It was an awful ejection.
That he got, yeah.
But when you look at, he went back to Wake Forest. He was playing in a weak ACC. he shot the ball way less in terms of efficiency. Not only did he shoot worse from 3-point, but he shot worse from 2-point as well.
Yeah, that's why I just
And-
said the outlier is his first year at Wake, where he was a 41% 3-point shooter, and then what'd you say last year? He was 28.
He was 27%. And then you look at, all right, well, when he played the top teams in the ACC, and he didn't have that high production, I think that like there's a lot of doubt there. And then it comes into the NBA draft and draft prospects, where it's Hunter Salas has an NBA body. He moves like an NBA player. But we are now in a day and age where there are more and more guys like that who do have that long frame, who do have that height, who do move that smoothly. And you'd rather draft a guy at 19 than 22 in that regard. And I really do think in this, where we are now in basketball, if you're shooting under 30% at college from 3, that is like a massive red flag. So I still think he'll have a shot. I still think he's a great athlete. I still think he'll, on a two-way, he'll be able to. And I think that with Philadelphia, we know how injured that team gets. We know how banged up, and not only just from a Embiid standpoint, but from a guard standpoint as well. So I think he's going to have ample opportunity as long as he plays well in the summer league, as long as he secures a spot in the G League and on a two-way contract.
Yeah, I still think, regardless, it's a great day for Metro basketball yesterday.
I agree.
You had 4 guys that 1 got drafted, 3 signed. I mean, it was all of us that were around here that got to watch it on a nightly basis. It turned out to be as great as, I mean, those 4 guys in particular, what they did on Friday and Saturday nights in this town, and now they get a chance to play in the NBA. And they're all involved in the same year that are going out. Now, can we get that locally with the NFL draft? There's maybe the class of 26 will produce a run where we have multiple local guys that get drafted in the NFL?
Would that be, that would have, because the NFL is so big, I feel like that would just have such a massive impact on high school football. And I think so too, like we're at the point with Nebraska high school football, and you've talked about it a ton, where we need local guys to start playing well at the Power 5 level. Not just, hey, you're getting to the Power 5 level, but you're
more in particular at Nebraska.
But if you get more guys drafted, you just get guys drafted from Omaha and just drafted from Nebraska. You're like, man, they're producing. There's a difference between producing college talent and NFL talent.
Well, I've said this for the longest time. When I got here and watched the quality of high school basketball, and unfortunately, we're going to go through a dip in high school basketball in this town. I mean, we kind of started last year, and we got spoiled because you throw Frankie into this conversation as well. So we got spoiled for a stretch where all these guys were in high school around the same time. And the gyms were packed, and then they'd go to Lincoln and they'd play in the state final, and PBA was packed. So we're going to drop for a bit. I mean, the best player in the state looked at his Kearney team and said, yeah, you guys aren't going to be very good. And he went to a prep school. Bynum went to a prep school. So we're going to go through a dip when it comes to high school basketball around here. But when I moved back here, I looked at this town and I'm like, man, there's some really good coaches here. There's some really, really good AAU programs. There's some good players. How come Omaha doesn't produce more NBA talent? We are in a large population. We have 1 million people.
People forget.
We have, and the gap is closed between the offseason of football, high school football, compared to where it's always been with basketball. And I always wondered, how come we can't produce more NBA type guys? Like Power 4 guys, Power 5 in this case, but then NBA guys. And you know what? Boom, it happened. Last night was a really, really good night. Would I like to see Hunter get drafted? Yes, but he's going to get an opportunity. But that was really, really cool last night. Now, let's see if we can do it with football around here.
Well, it's kind of backwards. I feel like you would expect a town like this get more NFL talent first and then NBA talent, considering how hard it is getting the NBA. So there's so many less draft picks.
But I think up until recently, the AAU, and we were late around here to get to the equivalent of off-season stuff with high school football. The AAU programs from, the OSA, back in the day on down, Factory, all the good AAU programs that have been around like a decade ago, that were really good a decade ago and are still good now. There was more opportunities to play and get seen. Now the gap has closed because high school football, there are more Warren academies, things like that around here. But I've always thought the thing about basketball in this state is people you kind of have that attitude. You just kind of threw it out there of, well, this isn't really a basketball area.
No.
I mean, it's a basketball area. It's a football. You guys are, football is the number one thing. Why basketball? I'm telling you, basketball has been pretty good around here. It's just people don't look at Nebraska and go, oh, you guys play basketball. But you know what? When they go to Las Vegas back in the day with the Valentinos team and they shove it down people's throat and you go, oh, them farmers in Nebraska can play a little basketball. Well, yeah, we can play a little basketball.
Well, I wasn't throwing out that this isn't a basketball town. I was just throwing out a numbers perspective.
No, you were stereotyping
No, I
Nebraska.
wasn't. I was not at all. No,
because
I wasn't.
It's the main sport.
I was not.
You're like, this should be a football state that should produce more NFL guys.
I said from a numbers perspective because there's so many less draft picks in the NBA and there are less basketball scholarships.
It's a town of 1 million people.
And it's, well, also too,
there's more opportunities to play basketball.
To get to college basketball, though, you just have to. Some people, you just have to be born 6'3", 6'4", 6'5". Like
I tried.
You kind of have to get fortunate in the fact that you have those genetics where you're tall enough and athletic enough to even meet those prerequisites. So to go and to have a town and that has 1 million people and to have 4 of these, prospects go to the NBA before you even get to the NFL where there's way more draft picks and there's way more scholarships and your, genetics and how tall you are don't hinder you as much. I think it's actually incredible that they've,
I think consistently basketball in this town doesn't need to take a back seat to consistently producing high school football talent.
No.
Because usually the high school basketball players that are produced in this city, in this area, are really, really good. They're not like fringe guys. They're like really, really good.
Well, it's when, look at the stretch, right? We had the stretch of these, so Tanjay, Salas, Frankie Fiddler, and Chucky Hepburn. And they were all, these guys, and St. Thomas, and these guys are top guys. Yeah. These guys are really good. They're incredible high school basketball players. And what did they go out and do? They went out and they performed, screw the NBA draft. They performed at the highest level of college basketball. They all made it to Power 5. They all had high impact. Shagan Tanjay was a top player in the Big Ten. Hunter Salas, I understand his draft stock took a slide, but still was a top player in the ACC. Look at Chucky Hepburn. He was the top player in 2 different conferences. So, bringing it back to football, you talk about, well, we need local guys, especially in Nebraska, to perform well. That's not even a question. It wasn't even a question with these high school basketball recruits that they went out there and they performed at a high level, which I think is, once again, incredible.
All right, we have a pair of tickets to give away before the hour's over to Adam Sandler, who I looked at his tour schedule. He's going to, 30 different cities on this You're My Best Friend tour.
Good for him.
He has time off after his trip to Omaha.
Is he taking a Scott Van Pelt break?
No, he has a couple of days off before his next city that he's going to. No, I mean, when he was he hooped it up at Creighton. Is he going to stop by?
Oh, that'd be sick. That's got to be like a bucket list item that'll never happen.
To hoop it up with Adam Sandler?
Yeah. You put on the bucket list, you go to the Masters or the Kentucky Derby. You tried hard enough, you could eventually do that. You can give a lot of effort. I don't know if you'll ever be able to hoop with Adam Sandler, but that would be an absolutely insane bucket list item.
See, I'd take the Masters instead, but that's just me.
Oh my God, I would love to play basketball with Adam Sandler.
To play golf with Adam Sandler at the Masters?
Yeah, there you go. Okay. It's Happy Gilmore, yeah.
No, I'd rather see him.
It's golf, not a rock concert.
I'd rather see him in the baggy shorts and the New Balance shoes.
Less than a month away. Happy Gilmore's coming out, July 25th.
I have no hype. I have no excitement.
We'll get you there.
How can you not? All the cameos.
Is it on?
There's nothing
on Netflix or is it in the movie?
Netflix. You can watch Poop Cruise and Happy Gilmore too.
I heard about this Poop Cruise.
Yeah.
I'm afraid to ask more. Yeah, I know.
Google it.
Yeah.
By the way, Kyle chimes in. He's absolutely right because exposure has happened more for boys and girls in this state. We're not a flyover state. Is baseball. So high school baseball and Nebraska prospects, among others, and Perfect Game paying attention to Nebraska, and also the Cam Kozels of the world and the Tyson Lewises, and I could go on and on and on about guys that either have gone to college and done really, really well, or have gotten straight out of high school to the pros. It's the whole state has gotten more exposure because I think people see the value and the financial part of it. And so there are more organizations, regardless of sport, that are helping our young people get where, mom and dad, your son or daughter gets a scholarship to play in college and you don't have to pay that. That's not bad.
No,
not bad. But high school baseball also, and high school baseball has been strong for a while. It just now has more eyes on it because the prospects have more eyes on them outside of Nebraska. I've heard, when they go to Indianapolis, for example, and there's college coaches and scouts are all over. Kids from Nebraska, and they go, oh, well, yeah, we're not a flyover state. We can do things here. We're not just a volleyball state. And we produce a friggin' ton
Talent.
of volleyball players. All right, quick break. Come back. Again, we'll give away a pair of tickets in the hour to Adam Sandler. Also, we'll talk some football. The basketball Mike made a comment when he called in earlier that I want to address.
Okay.
We'll do that when we return. It's Gary and Matt with Jimmy on 1620 The Zone. Moose roofing. Now, that is not something you should fly over. Now, if a storm has flown over your house, then we got to do some talking because you may have some roof damage. You may have siding and gutters that have taken a hit. And you know what? You got to get them taken care of. And the last thing you want to do is you're like, oh, God, I got to deal with a contractor. Well, deal with a local contractor. Deal with the best. It is Moose Roofing. They have been in business for nearly 30 years. And why do people rave about their fantastic experience? Well, it's the customer service. It is the people that get to know you, whether it be from Pat, the owner, whether it be from some of their Shawn Michael, guys and gals that will come out and they will work with you and they will understand what your issues are. Then they hop on the roof. They get plenty of pictures and their knowledge. They sit down with you. They present a plan. You work through it. And then they will work with your insurance company. When I say take photos, those photos and the amount of detail that Moose Roofing has, they work with your insurance company. And the insurance company goes, God, you guys are really, really good. And then they go to work and they take care of you. Professionalism. You don't have to worry about, oh, geez, a contractor. Well, this is a local contractor right here in Omaha, Moose Roofing, that is a top-notch reputation that'll do the job right. So if you need roofing, siding, gutters, commercial, or your home, it is Moose Roofing. For more information and to schedule an inspection, go to the website today, mooseroofing.com. All right, I got confirmation. Yes, Phil Steele magazine is available in Omaha at the Barnes and Noble. He has.
I'll see you there today.
He has Nebraska in a 4-way tie for 5th in the Big Ten. Indiana, Illinois, USC, and Nebraska. 4-way tie for 5th. One of the things you got to do.
My bad. I forgot to turn on.
So he outside. This is a. I think you will hit this because you've talked about this quite a bit. Outside of quarterback, because he does his position rankings.
Yeah.
As compared to the rest of the Big Ten. Quarterback, he has number 2.
Whoa.
I think he has Penn State number 1.
Okay.
Yeah, he's very high on Dylan.
Nice. I'm a fan of that. Jimmy, you want a carpool today, by the way?
To Barnes and Noble?
Yeah.
Why, sure.
Okay, cool.
You'll drive.
Gotcha.
Yes, he has Penn State as the number 1 unit ranking for quarterback.
Okay.
Nebraska's number 2.
Wow.
Would you like to garner what he has as the lowest unit ranking?
Defensive line.
Yep, 14th.
Okay.
So he has running backs 11th.
All right.
And then he has 3 that are 7th, so middle of the pack.
O-line.
Yep.
Linebacker.
Yep.
Secondary.
Wide receivers.
Oh, okay. We're secondary. Sorry.
Let me look here.
Yeah. Hate making go back to the book. Because I would put wide receivers. So I was doing my own personal position rankings of Nebraska, just as a kind of a common practice. And I put wide receivers as the best position group on the team. But this is in comparison to the Big Ten, where the Big Ten does have some really good wide receiving cores because they've been able to clean up.
He has DB's 9th.
Oh, okay. Really? All right. That's interesting. I thought it would be a little bit higher, if I'm being honest, because Nebraska does have, I really like the mix of young talent and returning production that they have. Because I think for me, I think that's the key is like, do you know do you know the floor of what your position group is going to be? And can the ceiling be raised by any other talent that you have within that room? And I think the secondary and the wide receiver core has it.
I think a little bit also, this is going to be a good year for defensive back rooms as units in the Big Ten.
Sure. Good point.
But as usual, Phil Steele is pretty high on Nebraska. $22, by the way.
Raiola, not bad.
Hey,
Raiola being
$22.
second.
$22. College Football Magazine is going to put you out of business.
I mean, everything else is gone. I mean, we don't need eggs anymore.
I don't have
Athlon like $15.
It was Athlon's $15, and you pulled that out, and that is like a college textbook.
That's
like
the Bible.
I literally had college textbooks that were skinnier than that, which is incredible. I feel like $22. That's okay for how thick of a paperback that is.
It again says on the front, the most accurate magazine over the last 30 years.
Yeah.
Is
That's
the
the
first,
Bible. That in Brett's magazine, or
well,
So Brett doesn't call his a magazine. That's where they're different.
his is a preview,
But he takes a shot at Phil Steele this year.
Oh, really? You already got the
Wow.
insider. You already got a couple pages of the Brett Ciancia Pick Six previews. Nice.
I can't pick sides.
I
like them both.
cannot. I cannot wait for August when that comes out. Well, I like Brett's book
It's
because
out now.
is it out now in the PDF?
I did see that. Yeah. I got
Oh,
the
okay. I
email.
gotta go and order it. I like Brett's book because in the first couple of pages, Brett goes ahead and shows his work from last year and like how well they did and what they previewed and what they predicted. And
It's a
whatnot.
measuring contest.
Oh, big
between
time.
all of the, it's just like the bracketologists. But they're like the people that do the preseason magazine, and there aren't many.
Sure.
I don't know who Brett is up against, but Phil Steele, I think that bottom banner has been there for a long time.
I loved it when we had Tim Kruger during the March Madness, and he was doing his bracketology and whatnot, and we would talk about the scores and what's a good score and what's a bad score and who's a good bracketologist and who's a bad bracketologist. I loved it. I love the little, not the little, but I love like the magazine fights and the writer fights that happen between projections. It's fun.
Nobody on the first team All Big Ten
Yeah, or the second team. Did he put Dylan Raiola as a projected second team All Big Ten player?
Let me look here.
Because if he did, Nebraska is going to win football games this year. If that happens.
No, he
Okay.
doesn't have him on any of the 4.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Does not have the first Nebraska player that shows up on Phil Steele's preseason Big Ten team.
Dane Key.
Dane Key on the third team.
And then Sierra Wright?
No.
Okay.
Lutovsky and Marcus Watson Trent.
Oh.
The fourth team
Okay.
does not include anybody. So Nebraska has 3 guys. 2 of them are transfers on Phil Steele's preseason third team.
Watson Trent. He's been getting a lot of run. Even like, I'm glad I wasn't the only one when I saw his Madden rating or his EA football rating that I was taken aback by the fact that he was in 87 or 88 was the number. But I did talk about this, like with Watson Trent, his numbers were so good at Georgia Southern that like you're going to expect there's no reason to expect that he's going to have those same exact numbers in the Big Ten. Okay, because it's a whole different ballgame, especially the position he plays and offensive linemen chipping up to the second level. I mean, those guys are way bigger and way faster than the league that he was in. But even if he had like just 80% of his numbers from this year, from last year, he still would have 96 tackles. And he still would have, like 6 tackles for loss and still like be one of the top players on Nebraska. So like he was a later transfer target that they got that I feel like was like, I don't know if we went over the radar, but now that we're heading up to the season and we see how other people look at him and other people think about him, I'm recognizing that it might be a bigger ad than maybe we anticipated it to be. Because you have,
I don't
because
recall.
you have,
No, I when he committed the first weekend in January.
Yeah.
Nebraska needs him to play well. I just worry about his size a little bit.
Yeah, me too.
But no, I think he got the appropriate run.
I just think in general, that's a name that we haven't just in a whole lot of discourses haven't brought up a ton. And then when you go,
well, maybe a little bit because of the position he's playing.
Yes.
There's a guy named Vincent Shavers there.
Yeah.
But no, I think we all consumed it appropriately that this was a good pickup.
It's kind of startling when I saw, like, when you say he's projected to be all third team to Big Ten, considering the fact that, this is a guy who was playing in the Sun Belt a year ago.
So Nebraska Mall Mike, we jokingly said, because he doesn't tweet as much. And by the way, he's having a tweet up with all you at 1:00 today at the casino.
Yes.
Tweet at him and you can find out all the information. So also, this book, everybody else's book, lists have pressure. Who's under the most pressure in 2025? Most of them are if the coach is on the supposed hot seat. Like USC, Oklahoma show up on a lot of these. Auburn.
LSU at all?
Not LSU.
Okay.
I think LSU makes the playoff this year, and I think they get sent to South Bend. But
that'd be awesome.
Your least favorite college football team is going to get scary.
They have 3 top 50 prospects that they just added. Yeah, they are.
I can't remember. Who's your least favorite team? Oh, yes, that's right.
Notre
Shame on me.
Dame. You bet. If you haven't, start paying attention to Notre Dame because what they're doing in the 26 class. So they just got the number 1 player in the state of Kansas, a tight end.
Yeah.
Yesterday,
dudes upon dudes.
Their recruiting class is off the charts for 2026, and Marcus Freeman isn't going anywhere. He's not going to the NFL. He's not looking to leave Notre Dame. I think the only place that he would pick up the phone, maybe to be an interest, would be Ohio State. But
right.
We don't think that's
he might just pick up the phone and say,
title. And they've been given some like luxuries of being an independent. The only thing that would stand in the way is if Power 4 schools decided not to play them, but Notre Dame is going to be scary. And if we wake up in 10 years and Marcus Freeman has a couple of national titles, I'm not going to be surprised at all. So I would love for Notre Dame to be in the playoff as a 6th seed and have LSU have to come to South Bend this year. But with that said,
that'd be great. I would love that.
So all these hot seat rankings that are out there, and Brian Kelly might end up on a couple of them.
Sure. I've seen him on Twitter and SEC and people.
So Nebraska is not on any of these just because the head coach is not on the hot seat. I think you're always under pressure when you're the head coach at Nebraska.
Yeah.
There is no greater pressure, in my opinion, for Nebraska football than the first game of the season.
Oh, yeah.
There's more pressure on Nebraska on opening night at Arrowhead than there is against Michigan on September 20th.
Against
disagree one bit.
Cincinnati? Against Cincinnati is what you mean?
Opening night at Arrowhead.
Because the
Okay.
nerves will be
Against
high
Cincinnati.
by 8 o'clock.
No,
I think
here's-
flat
so-
bill, I agree with you. Flat bill 1,000,000%. Like, just if we're looking at the schedule top
Mhm.
to bottom right now, I don't think there's a game that has more pressure on it in preseason than that game.
Because you might lose opening night, but you might beat Michigan. But I'm here to tell you, there is, now that we're like really, we're starting to ramp it
We're
up.
counting down.
Vibes are really, really good. There's a lot of confidence. People that play, people that coach, people that are around that program every day are extremely confident that there is some good things happening, that they've accumulated enough talent that it's all going to come together.
Mhm.
So it's been a very muted offseason, even beginning in January. And I think that's the best part, is there has not been a lot of chatter.
Mhm.
There's not been a lot of eyeballs, not a lot of availability for people that are not the head coach. Like
Yeah.
they have done no player availability in the middle of the summer. There's no new coordinator showing up, so no assistant coaches are speaking.
Yeah.
It, to me, has been an ideal offseason for Nebraska football because it's been quiet. So it lets you, as the consumer, kind of make up your own mind if you want to go, okay, I can feel the vibe.
Sure.
But there is such a buildup, and they might get a big-time offensive lineman Sunday. I don't know.
Hopefully.
I don't know.
Oh, no.
I don't know about that. But they've got, they're going to flip Arizona State wide receivers. So for the 26th class, they're starting to pick up some momentum, and the vibes are good, and Trey Taylor is going to peer recruit and all that kind of stuff. That's a game, and I've said this from the jump, that's a game that Nebraska loses because there's buildup for it. People talk about it. You're expected to win that game. And what happens in openers of late around here, and I don't care if the guy is Matt Rule or if the guy is Scott Frost, you drop those games and you go, pfft. But you drop that game, you lose that game on opening night
lose
with
a lot of
with
momentum.
65,000 Nebraska fans that are going to be in Kansas City, and the immediate reaction will be, here we go again, nothing is new. There's a lot of pressure on that game. There's a pressure every time Nebraska runs onto the field,
Mhm.
okay? But there's that to be 1-0 and not erase the goodwill you've built up since you went to New York City and won in the Pinstripe Bowl. So I think there's more pressure opening night than there is against Michigan.
This is a year of trends and breaking trends. The longest trend that I've been able to find is Nebraska has not beaten a Power 5 opponent in week 1 of the season since 2003, when they beat Oklahoma State and Barrett Ruud returned a touchdown off of fumble, right? Or returned a fumble for a touchdown. We have done this the last 4 years. And to your point, no matter who the coach is of, you lose game 1 of the season and it feels like, what are we doing here? Like, you walk in with a ton of hope to Illinois in 2021, and you're like, all right, here we go. And then Cam Taylor-Britt has a, fumbled punt, and all of a sudden they end up dominating, winning that game.
I mean, also,
there's a lot of
they had
other
to
things that
change the
happened.
playbook. And,
Yeah. They weren't prepared for cover 3, and then you go to Ireland and you lose to Northwestern. Then you go to Minnesota and you lose to Minnesota. And it's like, people are sick and tired of entering the season with some sort of hope and optimism. And then immediately 60 minutes later, you're just done. Now, if they beat Cincinnati,
that's good. They're 1-0.
and they're 1-0, and then they end up playing Michigan 3-0, heading into that game, there will be a lot. I don't know if it'll be the same amount of pressure, but it's going to be pretty damn close. I think, you know what? It will be the same amount of pressure playing that game, I think, because you're going to have a Michigan team that isn't as strong as the previous Michigan teams, with a rookie quarterback, without their head coach, in a game where you're undefeated and you're saying, you know what? Eventually, we have to beat the teams we're not supposed to beat.
What do you have more to lose if you start 0-1 or you're 3-1?
But
your losses in game 4.
But the Michigan game, with all the stakes and all of the things that go into it, with Sharon Moore not being there and Bryce Underwood being the quarterback, and we'll see what they do, especially if they lose
Michigan
to
will be a favorite in that game, right?
Yes, if they beat Oklahoma,
not big, but I think even if they beat Oklahoma, it might be like
no,
it'll be shorter than
3.5.
it'll be shorter than
4.5.
that. I think
4.5 would probably be the proper line in that. But at some point, and we've talked a lot about Nebraska has to win the games they're supposed to win, that they're favored in.
Yep.
But eventually, you're supposed to win the games that you're not supposed to win. Like, You should win a game where you aren't favored, where you are the underdog, where there isn't a lot of optimism going into it. And then you prove, hey, we are better than what you think. Because the theme of Nebraska football for the last 5 years has been, we're actually proving we're worse than you think. At some point, I would like them to prove that they're better than what we anticipated.
No, I'd like them to prove that they're not who they've been. And that would start opening night against Cincinnati. Nebraska football loses those games. They lose those games because it's a team that you're going to be favored against, a team that you should beat, that is a build-up, and then it is a letdown.
Would you? So
now Minnesota's a little bit different because Minnesota was favored in that game.
Yeah.
But still, it's the first game of the year against a Power 4 opponent where this is the year to prove to me that you're different. And that would be the start, is you win a game like that. And I know I just saw this on an email. Well, then they need to win by, no. In this case, my current observation of Nebraska is they just need to win. Okay? I don't hold them in high regard that they destroy teams. They need to start just winning and stacking wins. And then my biggest hang-up of this year and my hesitation is, how does Nebraska handle success? Like when people start patting them on the back and they're like, you guys are 3-0.
Yeah.
Ooh, you're 4-0. You just beat Michigan. Now you're ranked.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you deal with that? Because that was my hesitation last year, and I saw exactly what happened.
Well, we've thrown around the term of proof of concept, right? Of like, you have to prove that this thing is actually moving in the right direction, that the things that you have been saying, the things that you've been practicing, and there are games that don't necessarily prove that as much as others. The Cincinnati game is, you could argue, the ultimate proof of concept of things are changing, because it is a trend that you have been unable to break for years and years and years, regardless of who is your coach. And so if you can prove, hey guys, like we are with the Matt Rule era, it's been so crazy because he's done things so much differently, yet the results have been relatively the same. I'll give him credit. They made a bowl game. Scott Frost didn't make a bowl game, so heightened results already in that regard. But you're still losing close games. You're still white knuckle on the steering wheel at the end of in the fourth quarter. You're still making bonehead decisions. To go out and to prove and to win that Cincinnati game is the biggest needle mover in saying, hey, this isn't just words and this isn't just talent.
Yeah, I don't think it'll move the needle outside of. I think nationally it wouldn't move the needle. I think if you know.
Sure.
It would move the needle in terms of the perception of Nebraska football inside of these borders.
Without
I think
doubt.
Not everybody will look at that because they're like, you should beat Cincinnati. This is what you're supposed to do is a good program. There's a program that was 7-5, okay? Or 7-6. 7-6, okay? We need to talk about them as a 7-6 football team until they prove me wrong. You can talk differently about it, but I'm looking at them. They're always a 7-6 football team coming into the 25 season until they prove me wrong. And if they beat Cincinnati and they look good doing it, and I mean, Cincinnati, you cannot overlook Cincinnati.
They're tough.
Cincinnati will be
a
little tricky. I mean, they do return their quarterback, but it's a game where Nebraska is favored by almost a touchdown. But you win games like that and games that are built up where fans are, all right, I'm ready to invest again, invest in the program. And remember, it's essentially a home game for Nebraska. So it may not move the needle outside of here. To me, it would start to move the needle a little bit to go, okay, now I'm starting to see it. Then we turn around and we go, well, now you're playing one of the worst teams in Division I football. You should hammer Akron. And if they do, then I think you go, all righty. But you have to start 1-0.
You mentioned look good doing it. I don't need them to look good. Doing it. I really don't.
Depends on what side of the ball.
Would you?
If they looked super choppy on offense and looked very pedestrian, I would wonder what happened.
I'm kind of the opposite, if I'm being honest with you. I think if they
you expect the offense to look choppy,
not expect. We're talking hypotheticals, right? If they go out there, I know, but if they go out there and they win the game and the defense looked great and the D line looked great and the offense was a little meh, I would be actually more optimistic because I think there's more talent on that offensive side. And I'm more worried about the defensive
but when you
side.
When you look at it and go, wow, what happened to the offense? They got a returning quarterback. They got a returning running back. They got an AOC that's familiar.
There definitely would be questions, but I think I would have way more hope that they could improve as the season goes on compared to the defense. If the defense
Yeah.
comes out and looks great.
Yeah. But you know what the thing will be? Well, it's Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Let's take a quick break. Brian, stay right there. We'll get to you. Plus, we got tickets to give away to Adam Sandler. That game, we will be discussing, what are we, 9 Fridays from now? We'll be in Kansas City the morning after.
We will be.
Is that 9 Fridays from now?
Yeah, it was what? 9 Thursdays from yesterday.
Yeah,
So it's 9
9.
Fridays from now.
9 Fridays from now?
1620 the house, baby.
Yeah.
Are you on the top bunk or the bottom bunk?
I'm too old to shack up with other dudes as roommates.
We'll have so much room for activities.
They'll have a nice hotel down on the plaza.
I think I'll be sleeping outside by the end of that trip.
We're back with more Gary and Matt after this.
Hey, we want to give a big thank you to our partners at AGR Roofing and Construction. These guys are top of the line, local quality service. That's what they're saying is local. They're here, quality. They will fix you up and service. They're always there to serve you. AGR Roofing and Construction.com. If you go there right now, you can sign up and you can get your first free inspection of your roof. They'll do you up real nice. AGR Roofing and Construction.
Phil Steele has Cincinnati 9th.
Okay. I was looking at Cincinnati's SP Plus last night, and they were, I believe they're in the 50s. I was trying to carve out a path for could Nebraska be ranked to begin the preseason. I didn't
like AP.
I didn't get there, but I did get to a scenario where if you look at the teams that are ahead of them, like you have your Texas Techs, your Iowas, your Iowa States, teams that are playing some more difficult non-cons that are ahead of them in the SP Plus. If they go ahead, and this is just kind of my prediction here, if they go ahead and they beat Cincinnati by like 22 or 23, and then they go and they look good in week 2 and week 3, and you have some cannibalism in the non-con from other teams, I think that there's a realistic possibility Nebraska's ranked heading into the Michigan game.
Oh, definitely. Yes.
I think that is like especially I would go as far to say if Nebraska kicks the crap out of Cincinnati and you have some borderline top 25 teams either lose or not look good in the first week, they might be ranked week 2 in the AP. Because you'd be surprised. Like you look at these metrics, like I'm kind of bordering on the 7-5, 8-4 plane, but they definitely do favor Nebraska more so than I see them. They're definitely, the metrics are way more positive for Nebraska than I think of that team.
Because the schedule.
It's schedule. I mean, the strength of schedule is like 60th or something like that. It's ridiculous.
This is one quick line before we get to Brian here.
Yeah.
On Cincinnati. His last line is, this year they have 15 returning starters and are by far the best team that Satterfield has had.
Oh, it's Cincinnati?
No relation. Here is Brian on the Prairie Flower Casino Hotline. Good morning, Brian.
Brian.
No, Brian.
You haven't had that happen in a while.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Oh, Brian.
I'm still waiting for our regulars. We haven't heard from Doug in forever. Is he still in Napa doing the wine
We
tasting?
haven't heard from Doug since I got sick. Because he
miss
emailed
Doug.
me the first day I was out that he was at
Doug.
Q39, and
I miss yelling at Andrew. I was thinking about Andrew the other night. I was just doing my notes, getting ready for the show, and I stumbled upon the notes where I have the best callers and emailers and people who interact with the show. And Andrew was a 1 seed, and I was like, man, I haven't heard from my boy. Haven't heard from my guy. Who we're gonna go to a Creighton game together. Should we give out tickets?
Yes.
Let's give out tickets. Adam Sandler is coming to Omaha. We are giving out a pair of tickets right now. We'll be giving out another pair of tickets in the next hour. Here's how we're going to do it. You're going to email our guy Jimmy at 1620 The Zone with the answer to this question. Adam Sandler is very famous and very popular for having his guys, for having his dudes, his cast, whether they be actors, actresses,
his
athletes,
guys.
whatever. It's kind of the same cookie cutter. Hey, you're going to see these people. There's a sports broadcaster that has made a lot of appearances in Adam Sandler movies. Okay, multiple. Email Jimmy that broadcaster's name. What sport broadcaster has made a lot of appearance in Adam Sandler movies? Jimmy at 1620thezone.com. If you get it right, if the first could get it right, you're going to win some Adam Sandler tickets. How about that?
Nice.
Man, watch that Netflix. If you haven't seen that Netflix stand-up where he does all the songs, incredible. It's a great show.
All right. We will have another pair to give away. I think people will get this right away.
I think so.
Somebody will. Yeah.
If they don't, I would
Check
be
my email.
curious on who the...
Oh, we have to read the wrong answers.
No, we got right answers already.
All right.
Nice.
All right. Hour number 3 coming up next. All right, earlier you were sifting through the 26 NBA mock draft.
I was. I can pull it back up here.
Um,
Which by the way, like after an NFL draft, I could not look up NFL mock draft 2026 quick enough. And I'm all reading Todd McShay reports on Caleb Downs and what he needs to improve on in order to be a top 10 pick next season.
So maybe part of the 26 NFL mock draft will include Arch Manning.
Yeah.
The hype is through the roof. Nice cliche there. Is he going to win the Heisman?
No.
But
I can't believe his odds are that high.
But
Or
I
low,
don't doubt. I don't doubt that he'll be very successful at Texas, and it may have more to do with he's part of a really, really good team that's going to play for the national title against Ohio State.
Whoa,
Yes.
just kind
Whoa.
of snuck that one
I
in there.
know.
Already
I know.
calling the shot.
I already put it out there. But look at Arch Manning. If you've got all the attention around you, and I mean, why would we doubt it? I mean, when has a Manning not been good? Now, Dad is the other brother. But
even Cooper was great before.
But they have built a robot to get to this point. There's no way he can live up to the hype.
No.
But I think he will be. I think he will be a very good college quarterback. But he doesn't have to be overwhelming because look at Texas nationally has one of the best running back rooms. They have they have a good offensive line.
And they've done well in the portal, too.
But on the defensive side of the football, they are loaded. Like, they might have the best linebackers and defensive backs in all of college football. So he's going to play his first year as a full-time starter on an exceptional team.
Yeah.
Like, where he can be good, but he doesn't have to be great to carry the team.
No.
And the team actually might help him. So
massively.
So let's say that he sticks around for another year, right?
Oh.
Instead of going to the 26 draft, he goes to 27, which should have some interest around here because Dylan Raiola, who I think will be good this year, I think he has a chance to be great next year.
Agreed.
So that would be into the 27 draft. Have you started to dabble in the 2027 NFL draft? So come down this path with me.
Okay.
I figured one or both of you would.
Well,
I have not.
So I started to look at this.
It.
I started to look at this because let's say Arch Manning stays in school.
Okay.
Ryan Williams and Jeremiah Smith would be in the 27 NFL draft. Arch Manning comes back. He would be in the 27 NFL draft.
Okay.
DJ Legway would be in the 27 NFL draft.
What if Jackson Arnold has a great year in Auburn?
There you go.
Okay.
So then you throw in Parrish from Minnesota.
Yeah.
Jordan Seaton from Colorado.
Yep.
Let me give you another wide receiver.
KJ Bolden.
Yes.
Wasn't he teammates with Dylan Raiola, correct? If I'm not mistaken.
Leonard Moore, the great corner at Notre Dame. Colin Simmons, who I think is going to be a great edge rusher at Texas.
Loaded.
So the 27 NFL draft could be off the wall.
Insane.
Like Jeremiah Smith could go number one, and it could just be banger after banger. If I'm an NFL scout,
oh, you're licking your lips.
I'm drooling over the 27 NFL draft. But back to the Arch Manning hype is he will not match it because as we get closer to the season, it's just going to take off. And and the next thing you know, he's going to be the guy to cure cancer. And I don't think he's going to do that. I think that'd be very difficult because of the obligation to be the quarterback at Texas to cure cancer.
I'm rooting for him, though.
I would love me long time. I would take back all the negative things I've said about his uncle. If he did cure cancer. Yeah.
You had a quarrel with Peyton?
Why wouldn't I? He was a Bronco.
Oh, good point. I forgot.
I was like, wait, Huskers destroyed him in the Orange Bowl.
I was about to say.
The first time I met him, he came and spoke to the old B'nai B'rith sports banquet. And this building used to be heavily involved, and we were hosts, and we would be on stage. And Peyton Manning came one year, and we took a picture, and I said,
I can't stand you.
I said, why'd you have to go be a Bronco? I liked you more as a Colt.
I hated him as a Colt.
Old Peyton laugh, and he said, move on, next pictures.
He goes, how about you try that red number 18? Double finger gun.
But think that's That's just a couple of names I've thrown out there in the 27 draft.
I don't even know who would be
Because
number
Dylan will
one
be gone.
overall.
Dylan will either be gone from Nebraska after this year or definitely after next year.
Well, there's after next year. I think that is the expectation of
kind of screw up your quarterback room, right? Yeah, I think it would. I think if you got Dylan,
if he left next year or
if he decided I'm going to stick around and I'm going to play out the string.
Oh God, yeah, no,
you'd be like, okay,
Dylan, 4 years, please. I just want, 3 years, 3 years, and they've already set themselves up where they can do that pretty smoothly.
Remember, yes, because you have a quarterback coming in 27
who's a dog.
That's the best quarterback that Matt Rule has ever recruited.
No, not yet. Not yet. He needs to play better in high school. He needs to have a better high school season. He needs to prove that he is the top player in Illinois. I think he has the potential to. I think he has the arm. I think he has the mobility. When I saw him at the Battle of the Boneyard, great accuracy. But he needs to have. Not yet. Not when you haven't played your junior or senior season yet. I'm not closing the door. I'm not shutting the door, but not yet, because Dylan was not just the best player in his state, but he was the best quarterback in the country, bar none, hands down. It wasn't even talked about. Trey's got to have a better actual high school football season and not a great 7-on-7 showcase camp for me to say he's the best quarterback recruit Matt Rule's got. Could be.
I bet if I press Rule, because I think Trey Taylor, before it's all said and done, will be a 5-star. I think Rule would say, first of all, let me get the Riolas out of here. And then I can say, no, I'm just kidding, that Trey Taylor is the best quarterback he's ever recruited.
I think, and I've been told, not by anyone directly within the program, but there is a belief that they think that Trey's going to be the best quarterback in 2027, which in and of itself is one hell of an accomplishment. Because let's be real, if Dylan doesn't have his last name and doesn't have the legacy that he had, he doesn't end up coming here. Okay, that was a massive tie to him coming here. They didn't have a prior relationship with Trey Taylor. They went out and they just convinced an insane quarterback prospect, you want to play for us. That, I think already, Trey Taylor is the most impressive recruit they've gotten to commit. But I don't think I'm not going to say that he is the best quarterback prospect until he has a good high school season.
And that's fair.
If he lights it up, and he's playing some high quality high school football, if he lights it up, I'll be right there with you, because and I know the teams that he's playing. It's no just you just show up there, you roll right and you throw. It's like he's going to be playing some legitimate difficult football, and if he can light it up in the Chicago Catholic League, I'm all for it. Not yet though. I'm not jumping the gun yet.
All right, a couple tweets and emails and other things here. Matt says the needle mover is conference wins. We haven't had more than 3 in almost a decade. If we can get to 5, we're seeing real improvement.
I think you can make the argument that.
Can we just
go ahead?
That's low, but Matt is right. That's just when you there's things along this journey in the Sahara of Nebraska football of
That's
things
a good way of putting it.
Things you know, and then you say out loud that you go, nah.
Well, they haven't had 3 or less. What was it? They haven't had 3 or less wins in 20 years.
I just want to go back and look something here in the old Phil Steele.
That thing is a college textbook.
It's beautiful.
So I'm going to be honest with you. I've never bought a Phil Steele before.
That's okay. You're grown up now. You're going to love it.
I've read a Phil Steele.
Hold on here.
I've read it.
Hold on.
I know. I am actually surprised.
I've never bought one.
Time out. You've never bought one?
You seem like you would have bought one when you were 10.
It's like someone has given you one?
No. I've done Pick 6 previews for the last 4 years. That has been
it's okay. I tell Brett that I'm. Phil is my first every year.
Yeah.
And then I transfer to Brett and I stick with Brett longer.
This isn't a loyalty thing or anything like that. This is just, I found Pick 6 previews. I go, this works for me. This is awesome. I get everything I need to know. I've never really, and also too, I was on a much heavier of a budget over the last couple of years than I am now, where
they give you money to come here. Yeah.
Exactly.
So now you can buy Phil.
So now we can buy Phil Steele. Pick Six Previews got it done. But now, I mean, I got Athlon. I'm gonna do the trifecta.
You
I'm
should.
gonna get Athlon, Phil Steele, and Pick Six Previews.
Let's take Athlon and put that out of the group.
Whoa. It was a good primer. Athlon's a good primer.
It wets
but-
your whistle. It's
but
an
the-
appetizer.
Yeah, it is.
Yes,
It is. But
it's
Phil Steele and Pick Six.
I got you.
Different. No.
Yeah.
We're Athlon is the hors d'oeuvres. All right. It is though they're walking around the
They're
party.
tasting.
Yes.
Here, taste this and make.
Yes.
See, do I need
Oh,
to add anything to this?
Yes. Oh my God. Look at this mini grilled cheese that I can dip into this mini tomato sauce. This is great. What an appetizer. Minnesota. They've lost a lot of guys in their secondary and they don't have a ton of experience at quarterback. Can they trust Darius Taylor this year? Then Phil Steele just comes in, whap, tells me what I need to know. And then Brett Ciancia is the greatest dessert I've ever had in my entire life. Pick Six Previews is like the chocolate molten lava cake of college football magazines.
Hungry now.
What? Whoa.
Oh,
What do you mean? Oh.
not a chocolate.
Oh,
bar.
that's right.
Yeah.
What is
You
your
could have said like red velvet
Okay.
or
I'll-
banana cream pie.
I'm with you on chocolate.
I was about to say
I will.
Which
chocolate
which
molten lava
which
cake is
team did we have
undefeated.
a faux pas in the Phil Steele magazine of a player? It's one of the Michigans, right?
No, Michigan State. Noah.
Oh, hold on here.
Yeah.
I'll let you read it.
No, absolutely not. He forgot the K.
Okay.
Uh,
So Flaky Jake says St. Louis Arch greater than Arch Manning. He's so overrated.
St. Louis Arch is so overrated. Sorry, don't mean.
I've
no
never
offense.
been, so I can't weigh in here.
It's
It's greater than the Kearney Arch.
I've been there.
it is better than the Bean. I'll give it that. If
Oh,
we're
the
ranking,
Bean.
if we're
Bean.
ranking like things that don't really have uses anymore and that are considered landmarks, Arch
Probably,
definitely
and
beats the
probably a little
Bean.
bit more meaning with the Gateway Arch compared to the Beam.
Oh, 1,000,000%. The Gateway
Yeah.
Arch was actually used for trade, right? Like there's actually history behind it and there was like a use for it. I studied this in history. It was about 10 years ago. So exclude me from my memory.
Email. This goes back to a conversation earlier. Terry, your golfing buddy.
Hey,
Tiburon Terry.
they did not play well without me on Wednesday.
Ooh.
They got swept. We were in first place because Matt McMaster was cleaning up house, and now we're back down to second.
It says, hi, guys. I skipped watching day 2 of the draft. So I caught First Alert 6 Sports. Shout out Clayton. And what's the new guy? Mason? Came from Central Nebraska?
Yeah, that sounds
Mason
right. Because,
Kern?
yes, I worked with
Yeah.
Mason Kern. Yeah, nice guy.
He gets to work with Clayton, who is a good dude. So Terry seems to be in the demographic of Channel 6.
Yeah,
Here's how I look at local television in terms of what their demographic is.
go ahead.
Like KTV, when they super,
Mhm.
they will sometimes, I think, include their Twitter handles.
Oh,
WWT is like Facebook.
okay.
Okay.
I don't know, and I should watch more local television, but definitely my demographic has kind of missed that memo. I think we'll get there eventually.
I think
though.
your demographic does not watch local
We don't.
television, so that's fine.
But I absolutely love the YouTube TV multi-view right now that I can click on any channel ever to make it my multi-view. I was watching the NBA draft yesterday with diners, drive-ins, and dives.
Nice.
It was incredible. And then
Which,
bet guy
which
was
one?
better.
And Triple D got the volume.
no, the NBA draft got the volume.
That's
And
true. They had
then-
Windy. So.
And then once we got past Brooks Barnheiser, I was kind of like, all right, like my night is set here. Like I'm good to go. So I switched the volume over and then Beat Bobby Flay came on. You ever seen Beat Bobby
No.
Flay? Oh my God. It's an incredible show where it's literally they
They try to beat Bobby
cooks,
Flay.
they have their own signature dish and Bobby Flay tries to make their own signature dish better than they do.
Oh.
And he almost does it like 85% of the time. The dude is an absolute wizard. But like they do it right where I would say once in every 8 somebody beats Bobby Flay and it's a big deal. And it's like, oh my God, Bobby got beat. It's got me hooked. It's got me hooked. I haven't watched it in years and now I'm like looking forward to it.
When talking about free agent signings, they said the players inked a 2-way contract. What the hotel bill is that? Does that mean they're actually required to play defense as well as offense? Very well. That's a nice.
That's
that
a
is a
zinger.
nice email into the Echo
No.
Lincoln box.
they go to the G League, and then they go back up every once in a while, and then they go back down, and then eventually there's like a day limit. You probably know this better than I do, but there's like a day limit, and then they can like buy out the contract and get a full-time NBA contract. Do we still have 10-day contracts anymore?
Don't think so.
I remember.
So the two-way is you can your salary is dependent on which league you're assigned to play in. So your salary isn't set. So a one-way contract, that is your salary regardless of where you're assigned to play. But if you're on a two-way, then your salary is this in the G League and it's blank in the NBA. That's probably the best way to describe it.
Good job.
So if you are given a one-way contract and you're not on an NBA roster, they probably don't think as highly of you.
Okay.
But if you have a two-way,
you're good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that because I've been reading way too many long documents about the second apron, how punitive it is, and then also the NFLPA. I've read way too many things about I know too much about the NFLPA. I don't need to know as much as I know now in terms of like who runs it, what they're doing, what their business is, what their angle is. I just play the football.
Yeah. The general manager of the Raptors is out. I saw that come across the timeline.
whoa.
I think that was a sham bomb.
Ooh, I'll get my resume ready.
Brian is back with us. Good morning, Brian.
Hey, Gary, how are you?
Good, Brian. How are you?
Good. You woke me up this morning talking
Whoa.
about this Cincinnati game. Cincinnati game.
Yes.
Gosh, I don't disagree with what you're saying about we do drop those games because, yeah, we do.
Mm-hmm.
But, man, if we do, wow, somebody's not doing their job. And if we don't win that game, that means we didn't come in prepared. I mean, that's all that means. You're just not prepared. I'm not saying they're a bad team. I'm just saying,
yeah.
I just find no excuse to lose that. I just don't see how we should lose that game. But maybe I don't know.
I don't think there is an excuse, Brian. If I'm being honest with you, you're gonna. It's a home game. You're gonna be favored.
Right.
Yep.
But I just hope we're not having that conversation. Big deflator.
Hey, you and me, brother. 9 Thursdays and Fridays from now, it'll be a long, very uncomfortable conversations on this radio station.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Brian, have a great day. Thank you for the call.
All right.
Do you know the opening line for the Cincinnati?
6.5.
If they lose that game, my paternity leave's going to go the full amount. I think they're going to win.
+7 is the best number you can get for Cincinnati.
Look, I just saw the Circuit drop the Farmageddon line. K-State's a 3-point favorite in Dublin against Iowa State.
Okay. Really? I thought it might have been. Isn't Iowa State? Aren't they going to be ranked to begin the year? I thought there was a lot of hype with Iowa State heading into the year. I haven't done my Big 12 homework yet, but I thought that they have
faith in Avery Johnson over Rocco on the opening game. That's a Dublin got very, very fortunate.
Let's go Cyclones. Come on, Rocco.
I don't like that it's over there. I don't like that it's a rivalry game over there. I would prefer it to be just a random ACC matchup.
Though. I hope it
or
snows.
a Big 12 matchup.
I do too. That was fun.
Snows like a couple years ago.
80-yard touchdown
run.
That's
not a dome, right? They don't have a dome on that stadium.
They don't.
No.
Nor will they have snow. Might be in the 60s. Yeah. Because of what it is, I got to get this in here. J-Man on the stream. St. Louis Arch is nice in the outfield shots when the Cubbies shut out the Cards like the last 2 days. 48 wins and counting.
So you said that
first place on June 27th. I think I'll take that. First place since April 4th. I think I'll take that.
Nasai Ujiri, he's out as the Toronto Raptors.
I'm just seeing this come quickly through the timeline.
That's massive news.
Just want to put it out there.
Yes, he's out as vice president and chairman of the Raptors. See what a bad draft will do to you?
I've built many great teams on NBA 2K, just saying.
Well, they made a great pickup.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest with you. If I am any owner and I want to win in the NBA, I'm taking a serious look at my current front office and saying, are they better than Nasai Ujiri? And if they're not, I'm writing a blank check and I'm getting him over there. What he has been able to accomplish as the Toronto Raptors GM, not only just from they won a title in 2019, but consistent success and
he'll have a job soon.
Moves. Oh, if he wants a job, he'll have a job.
It's like when Presti took Barnsheiser. I was like, well, must be good. Presti took him.
My guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Brooksy.
Thank you, J-Man, for bringing up the Cubs because Palencia, I love you long time, especially when you get into it with Willie Contreras.
Yeah, how are you? I was
just going to help us. So next weekend, St. Louis is in Chicago. 4th of July weekend. Let's go, baby.
You and I
The Marty Barrett Przinski thing over again.
Hey, 48-33. I know the Seattle series in the first 2 games, but they came back and they shut out St. Louis and they won the last 2
games.
Now Houston's going to be tough because Houston's a tier 1 organization.
Yeah, we're back.
Well,
and we're going to win it all.
Friggin'
all the World Series.
You could lose all these players, and Houston is still going to be Houston. So that's a huge series for the Cubs this weekend. But them coming back and winning the last 2 in St. Louis before a bunch of empty seats in the city where they tell you that they're great baseball fans, but somehow the Cubs are there, and there's not many Cardinal fans that are there. Too many empty seats. I wonder what's going on in St. Louis.
Series.
But that's okay. The Cubs are in first place. We're 15 games above 500. It's June 27th. You know what? Our guy came in and struck out 3 in the bottom of the 9th inning and then talked smack to Contreras. I like Willie. He got me a World Series ring.
I don't like
But you know
Willie.
what? He didn't know how to play first base, and that's okay. It's a benefit to the Cubs. I'm okay with this. I'm perfectly fine. And you know what? We have a guy that, you know what? I don't know if you've looked at Imanaga's career as a Cub, but he comes off the IL, and he's now 19-5 in games that he has gotten the decision. And I believe that the Cubs are 29-9 in the 38 games that he has started. Okay, we'll see you 4th of July weekend in Chicago.
I can't stand Contreras. I don't care. You don't go to the enemy and then talk about how great the enemy is and how much better the enemy is.
That's okay.
That article bothered me so much.
I still love you, Willie, and I still love you, Dexter.
Aren't you going,
Dexter,
Matt?
Dexter, I'm fine with because Dexter now comes back and he's like a Cub and does the Marquee Sports Network, and he's actually, when he appears, he's actually pretty decent.
Contreras will do the same thing.
No, he won't. You don't write and say, I've always wanted to be a St. Louis Cardinal, and I absolutely love Yadier Molina, and this is such a professional franchise. I don't know. Did he hit the grand slam in game 1 of the NLCS, or was that Miguel Montero?
Damn, that takes me back.
I still love Willie. I still love Willie.
I'm out on Willie. Until he comes back for the reunion, then I'll be standing up and I'll be clapping. Willie! Love ya! That's how it works. When they're a Cardinal, I couldn't give a damn about you. But when they all come back for the 15-year anniversary and I'm there, I go, love you, Willie.
That's why I loved him yesterday. Don't know how to play first base. Thank you, St. Louis. Thank you, Ollie Marmol. Now we just need to get the Brewers out the hell out the way. All right.
Yeah, we've been saying that for years.
Why doesn't Milwaukee go back to the American League?
Why does Milwaukee? Why can't Milwaukee act like their baseball or their basketball franchise and just collapse?
I mean, they did last year against the Mets.
That'd be great. Well, I put a smile on my face.
Adam Sandler tickets will give away coming up in the next segment.
A shout out to Nathan, by the way, for winning.
Right.
Nice, good job, Nathan.
And the answer?
Dan Patrick was the answer.
DP, who is
our coworker,
an HOFer, will always remind you of his relationship with Sandler. He met him at a basketball game, and he asked if he could be in a movie. And ever since, he's been in almost nearly every movie.
That's how it happened?
Yeah. They were just talking at a basketball game when Patrick used to work for ESPN.
I almost went with well, actually, maybe we won't spoil it. Maybe it's a question we use again. But there's a lot of great sport flavor in Adam Sandler movies.
We had a lot of correct answers, by the way. So shout out to all you guys, and thankfully we'll do it again.
What would be an incorrect answer?
Yeah.
Uncle Vern. Fair.
Oh.
Yeah. I think I saw Bob Costas.
I did see one. Yeah.
I saw Bob Costas.
Yeah.
Uncle Vern was Vern Lundquist has been in a Adam Sandler movie. All right, we'll give away another pair of our last pair of tickets coming up in the next segment on 1620 The Zone. A couple of shout outs to friends of this particular time slot and yours truly. Joel Lorenzi is on the move again. Former beat writer at the World Herald for Creighton.
Got traded?
He left here because he wanted to cover the NBA. He had finishing up at the Daily Oklahoman in Oklahoma City. He gets to cover the Thunder this year. He is on the move again.
You win a title. It's downhill
He's
from there.
Going back home.
Oh, that's right.
I bet. Where's he headed?
He's going home to Chicago.
Hey,
He
congratulations,
is the
man.
new beat writer for The Athletic covering the Bulls.
Nice.
So shout out to Joel Lorenzi.
That's the biggest addition the Bulls have made this year.
Well,
Pick them to go deep in the playoffs.
What if John Walker went and replaced Joel Lorenzi at the Daily Oklahoman to cover the Thunder?
Whoa.
I would hate that. I would hate that without a doubt.
Well, no, then we would just have Thunder segments every week because we would keep John.
Honestly, we would keep John. It's just ball talk. We just have to call our interview with John every Wednesday ball talk because it's just like getting us through. It's great. It's basketball porn if we're being honest. I mean, we were talking about
or talks to men
the
about getting checked once a
relationship
year.
and like science of like what an NBA prospect is compared to college basketball players 2 weeks ago. It was great.
Also, shout out to AO. So pretty cool yesterday on the floor of the U.S. House. Mike Flood, Congressman Mike Flood, former coworker of Gary Sharp, former afternoon DJ at Froggy 98.
Really?
On the side, owns Flood Communications. Yes, that's where I first
Did he have an on-air name, or did he also have another?
No,
name? You
Mike
did.
Flood is a good name.
So my on-air name, I was the original 7 to midnight DJ on Froggy, and I was Forrest Jump.
That's a good one. I asked my wife if she remembered you back then.
Forrest Jump?
Yep.
That's a great
I was
one.
Forrest Jump. All I did was voice tracked it.
Okay.
So I'm doing Sports Nightly across the hall, and I'm over on Froggy.
So you were Gary Sharp in sports and Forrest Jump on DJ?
Yeah.
That's sick.
You were broadcasting.
It lasted about 4 months.
Okay.
Because they just wanted to get Froggy off the ground. And so they go, hey, you're going to they taught me how to voice track.
Yeah.
I don't know, did I just give some inside radio there?
No.
Voice track. Most people know that's what they do. Yeah.
I
Not
like
like WKRP.
once in a while it was live. I'd go over there and put the station in live and take calls and stuff.
Were you supposed to?
I was so over my skis.
Were you supposed to?
Or
did you do it?
They said if you'd like to do it.
Oh, sure.
But like being a music DJ at that time, I was like so over my skis. But we did have great story there about Froggy. So Mike Flood was the afternoon guy.
Okay.
Because Mike wanted to get into radio, and he wanted to learn the radio business, of course, because he was going to eventually.
It worked out.
He told me. I mean, he was a lawyer. Mike Flood's a lawyer. So he got into radio because he eventually wanted to own radio stations and a media company.
Yeah.
So he got his start at Froggy 98, and he was 3 to 7, not very long. And then he went to Norfolk. And now, of course, he was in the unicameral. I thought at one time he was going to be the governor of the state of Nebraska. His wife came down with breast cancer, doing well. Then he got back into politics because he stepped aside, got back into politics. And of course, he's a congressman. Here's what he did yesterday. Really, really cool. Is Andrew Ozaki, who has been at Channel 7 for 43 years. When I first met AO, and when I first started covering Nebraska football, like we had cricket. People will recognize the name at Channel 3. He was a camera guy.
I've heard of that name. I don't know why.
Then we had Bob at Channel 7. But AO also shot football. And then Mike McKnight shot football at Channel 6. So it was great. I mean, like we all traveled, everybody. That was back when everybody went on the road and all that kind of stuff. So I got to know AO. And he's always been based in Lincoln. He's retiring after 43 years. I think Monday is his last day at KTV. Here's how cool it is. And Andrew is a fantastic person. He even got Governor Pillen made a mention.
Oh, wow.
They didn't put him in the Navy.
Oh.
They didn't get the Gary Sharp or Jordy Ball honor.
They gave him some honor the other day. That was really, really cool.
Awesome.
But Mike Flood yesterday on the floor of the U.S. Congress, the House of Representatives, did a shout out to him, and they had his big picture there, like Mike or Senator Flood or Congressman Flood, excuse me. I was calling Mike.
Yeah.
Well, he's your friend.
Oh, good. Yeah.
He did his thing for 43 years at Channel 7. He's retiring on Monday. That was friggin' really cool.
That is really cool.
So good job, AO, man. He shoots. I mean, he was a great shooter, and he also does a lot of. So when his packages, he never's on camera. it's always voice it.
Mm-hmm.
But man, there's a ton of respect for that guy. But that's pretty cool that they honored him in Congress. I'm sure,
super cool.
I'm sure, some of the Congress people are like, okay, what are we doing here? Nice job, Mike Flood, and even nicer that Andrew Ozaki got that.
Mike Flood, first ever LinkedIn connection for me in Nebraska. Yeah, I went to
way to bury the lead.
Well, when he was running to be the senator, I covered one of his press conferences where the LPD was showing their support for him, and he saw I was a young news broadcaster who I didn't know my butt from my elbow, and I didn't really know what I was doing, and I was obviously kind of nervous because there's a senator right in front of me. We talked for 15 minutes, and he just picked my brain, talked about my life. LinkedIn connection, first ever one in Nebraska was Mike Flood. Very nice man.
Wow.
He was a very nice man. So shout out Senator Flood. And that was on C-SPAN? Him shouting out?
C-SPAN carries it nonstop.
Yeah,
but
there
were of course, Channel 7 re-aired what he did.
Do you think there are some local reporters who know some Congress people who are like, can I get a shout out? What are we doing here?
You don't deserve it. You go work in that television business for 43 years, so good on him.
Accomplishment. Incredible.
Yeah, people should write I know you've worked there more recently than I have.
Sure.
At Broadcast House. People should write stories about the stories of Froggy. There was a Dave Guadagnola who, when Froggy started to carry Husker football.
Yeah.
And
we
had a meeting with the guy that ran the network, Paul Aaron, at the time, and Dave spoke up in the meeting and said, "You're killing my radio station." He said the Huskers are killing his radio station. I thought we were done. I thought Broadcast House would lose the affiliate. And then somebody who ran a escort service out of
Did
Broadcast
not see
House
that coming.
Yeah, that's a curveball.
Then took over for me doing evenings on Froggy.
Wow, there's a lot in there.
I learned something new.
You guys have never heard that? I've never told this
I
story.
knew the rest of it because you've told me about your on-air name.
Husker football to escorts.
John says, thank you, John. He was given the Admiral Award.
Oh, okay.
Ooh, what's bigger? Being in the Nebraska Navy or getting the Admiral Award?
I think it's
probably the Admiral Award,
I think the Admiral Award.
Because David Robinson's the Admiral, and he's
how do you move up from being in the Nebraska Navy to getting the Admiral Award?
I think you need to ask around.
I'm really confused by the whole thing because
I'll ask my wife.
They don't
She's
send
in the
you.
Navy.
They don't send you a memo like everybody's got to do like a day or two on the ship every year to stay in the Nebraska Navy,
like the reserve.
Did you ever get like a plaque or like a
I
medal?
got some.
You got a certificate.
I mean, is it just in a storage locker right now?
I mean, it probably was not the Nebraska Navy. It was probably something else. But I'm just gonna. I think
I'm gonna roll with it.
It felt like the Nebraska Navy.
let's roll
yeah,
with it.
Ben Nelson.
We had
a deal at the state capitol.
You've said it so many times on this radio station. Nobody's pushed back on you. So we're just gonna say it. It's true.
Yeah, I've got no emails.
I don't even know what else it would be. I'm just going to say I was in the Nebraska
But
Navy.
I think
we had a nice little
Admiral Award
ceremony. He gave an award to John Baylor and myself. It was right there in the rotunda. There was no media, but there was somebody taking a picture.
Do you have the picture?
A long time ago. Probably in a phone in a storage unit somewhere. I've got
great.
that.
Will you find it on Storage Wars?
No.
They open up the locker. Oh, we got this great medal from the Nebraska Navy.
But I haven't told this story before.
About the escorts?
No, this is yours.
No, I haven't heard it.
I would remember that.
Like it used to be fun.
She stripped on the side.
I would remember this.
She would go out to the Royal Grove on amateur night, and then she would go to amateur night at the Q. And then she was running
amateur night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and then she would run.
You never went to one of those?
No, it was never it was never on the signs of Nebraska's campus. Or, it was never in the union.
It wasn't.
It wasn't stapled up on the.
I ask you this all the time.
Steak and Shake. Hey, there's amateur night at the Royal Grove. Come and stop by.
The pink place, I always called it the Pink Taco on Waverly that they tore down. What was that called? That's an inside joke with my wife.
With your
inside
wife?
Joke with your wife?
Well, she used to work and live in Lincoln, and she goes, see that place right there? Because we have family in Waverly.
Say work and live at the Pink Taco.
No.
Okay.
We're not going to call that the Pink Taco.
What is it? The Pink Pony Club?
It was called Shakers.
Oh, I was close.
Okay.
What was that card?
One former Nebraska play-by-play guy used to go to a place in Fremont. Another former Nebraska play-by-play guy used to go there.
What was that big truck that was driving around Omaha, especially in the Capital District, with anime baseball players with big chests?
I think
it was promoting a club that was BYOB.
It said Omaha loves boobs.
Oh.
Yeah, but then
Oh.
I think it was also trying to get you to go somewhere. And then in the bottom right corner,
Oh, don't you play coy with
I
us.
didn't go there, and I don't know the place.
You've been to 120th and Center.
I have not been. I have not.
Yeah. Okay, so quickly here.
Back to the
yeah,
escort.
Oh, yes, the escort.
Back to the
She
escorts,
was
yes.
running an escort service.
Yeah.
She was doing 7 to midnight on Froggy. This is in the late 90s, early 2000s. And
It's a great time.
Yeah, she was running an escort service, and I was onto her. like wasn't a client or anything.
Right.
But I was like, it was just very, because I was working at the same time, because you do 6 to 8.
Sure.
And there was just a lot of activity. And there was a lot of like people that should not have been in our building.
Visitors.
Oh.
Yeah. And so then, like one of our part-timers like, oh yeah, she does blank blank.
And then did you out her? Were you?
Why?
Okay.
I don't
Yeah, you got to make your buck.
Okay.
You know what? Yeah.
What do you always say? Go get the bag?
Hey,
Yeah.
I'm not going to touch your bag.
Yeah.
If that's how you make your money, go ahead. I didn't have the ability at the time, or probably the clientele, to run an escort service.
Every time you talk
Or the
about your
funds.
time at Broadcast House, it makes me think that my time at Broadcast House was very boring and uneventful.
His time sounds
Really,
like some of my early radio jobs.
Let me recorrect that. It doesn't make me feel like it. It makes me realize that my time at Broadcast House was there was no drama. There's none of that.
Yeah.
You just walk in the studio. You did the 4-year practice report. I'm Matt McMaster, and you leave. Then the governor showed up every once a month, and then his big old security guards who could definitely choke out everybody in that building by themselves just are like, "Hey, what's going on? What are you doing?" Show them what audition is.
Okay, so this is AO was awarded the Admiral in the Great Navy of the state of Nebraska.
Yeah, I think that sounds big.
Okay, so it's the highest civilian award in Nebraska. Bruin Steve says my grandmother was also awarded that by K. Orr. Congratulations! I wonder whose grandma is. We're talking about a television guy, and he's not an anchor. He's just one of the hardest working people I've ever met in local television that is retiring on Monday. Awesome.
That's incredible.
Awesome, Mr. Ozaki. And he is, I'll tell you another thing that helps Andrew. And still at this age, he runs faster than anybody else with a camera I've ever seen. He does?
Really?
Yes. All right. When we come back, we'll dial back into some sports. She treated it like sports.
I was about to say, that is sports. We're talking about a sports station.
Sports and business. Economics.
I think it was Jeff Moats, who is the news guy at KFOR. Moatsy. Everybody knows Moatsy. I think Moatsy told me she was bringing in like $1,200 a month.
Oh my God.
In her escort service.
If anything, there's a lesson there for those getting into radio.
Well, John Baylor, his first piece of advice to me ever was, before you go into broadcasting, start a business.
Oops.
I guess she took the advice.
Yes.
I got some bad advice.
Okay. As we go to break, our final pair of Adam Sandler tickets to give away. Adam Sandler's coming to Omaha on October 21st at the Chai. Happy Gilmore comes out July 25th. I'm sure people have some interest in that, and he'll talk about it when he's here on the 21st. He's a guy that likes to hoop. He may come here and hoop with Creighton again. It's You're My Best Friend Tour. You can be the best friend of Adam Sandler, courtesy of NRG Media and 1620 The Zone. He has not been to Omaha in almost 3 years.
An A-lister.
His jokes have changed. I think so. Trivia question, and we're gonna do it this way.
Okay.
This is for our people that are currently listening to the show in real time on terrestrial radio.
Ooh.
402-951-1620.
Okay.
What movie role did Adam Sandler lose to Johnny Depp? What movie role did Adam Sandler lose to Johnny Depp? The first correct answer, you are going to win a pair of tickets to go see Adam Sandler in concert on October 21st at the Chai, courtesy of 1620 The Zone.
I don't want to spoil it, but I don't know who. I don't know. I do not know. I know a bunch of Johnny Depp roles.
What movie role did Adam Sandler lose to Johnny Depp? First correct caller, 402-951-1620. You're going to see The Sandman, courtesy of 1620 The Zone. All right, congratulations to Nick, who is the winner of our last pair of tickets to go see Adam Sandler. The answer of what role did Adam Sandler lose out to Johnny Depp?
Good question. I didn't know.
Willy Wonka.
Nice. I'm glad I didn't open my big mouth because I was going to say that before we went to the break because I was going to make a joke like, no way, it's Willy Wonka, right? And it was Willy Wonka.
You had two good guesses, though.
Johnny Depp and I, handshake meme, both Willy Wonka. I was Willy Wonka in my 8th grade school play.
Really?
Yes. There's a tape out there somewhere.
We got to get that.
It's hidden.
It's not on your
buried.
phone?
No, unlike my high school highlights, my high school hockey highlights, I do not keep my Willy Wonka in the school play highlights on my phone because you know what? They weren't highlights, okay? They weren't. It was tough. No joke. I think everybody kind of remembers when they were going through like voice puberty where your voice was actively changing. Like you have that month stretch.
I remember that
where
Brady
it's
Bunch.
more raspy and it's like a little deeper and you're like in between of like your how high and how low. I literally got that during the play. And so any other I was already bad at singing. That made it even worse. But my mother has the tapes, so she won't let me. I tried burning them. She won't let me. So Willy Wonka.
Would be something if Adam Sandler would have been Jack Sparrow. That'd been kind of interesting.
I don't know if he would have, because Jack Sparrow does have a bit of seriousness to him at times.
He can be serious.
But I wouldn't mind if they had Johnny Depp do the serious parts in the boat, but then had Adam Sandler do all the running. They did a dual cast.
Yeah.
Adam Sandler running away from a bunch of people as Jack Sparrow would have been one of the funniest visuals ever.
I mean, he could have played his character from Reign Over Me.
I haven't seen that movie.
Depressing as all get out.
Okay.
Don Cheadle was great in it. I was sad for Adam Sandler because, he'd started to do some serious characters. Not everybody was golfing or going back to school or making fart jokes.
Or playing football.
He played that role, and I'm like, oh, this is dark.
Yeah.
Why did we go so dark? But congratulations to Nick and to our previous winners.
I feel like every time someone brings up Don Cheadle, it's always like he was great in that movie.
I mean, he's great in pretty much everything
he does. Same thing with Stanley Tucci. Those are two actors where it's like, have you seen a movie where one of those guys isn't just really good, but we never talk about them having that Bryan Cranston Breaking Bad role or having that RDJ Iron Man role. They're just always there. Whatever, no matter where you go, Stanley Tucci's making a good movie.
All right, Ryan Kalkbrenner last night went 34th to Charlotte. Good fit for him.
Incredible fit.
Get ready, Kalk, to learn at least a decade in the NBA.
Get ready, Ryan.
I don't know why she didn't mention his last name.
Didn't Zion James? I thought that was a picture of Bryce Williams.
It was.
It was?
Yeah.
Okay. How the hell are they
so technically he got drafted?
Multi-million, millions of dollars that have been put into this production of the NBA draft. And they show Cooper Flagg and it's Ace Bailey. And they go ahead and they show Zion James and it's a different picture. It's a different prospect. And they go ahead and Colin Cowherd got drafted, which credit to Danny Parkins and Fox Sports for kind of taking the piss out of that and making a whole joke because they absolutely should run with that.
For people that are wondering, so this was a graphic last night as Kalkbrenner was getting drafted, and they were showing the
Hornets
draft
picks
picks of the Hornets. Zion James and Bryce Williams do not look alike. just going to be honest here. They do not look alike. But it's now almost 9 a.m. on Friday morning, and Bryce Williams still has not got a team.
I think maybe he goes to Europe. And I don't think if he goes to that Spanish league, and I don't have any inside source or anything like this. This is just me throwing it out there. But I think he'd do great in a Euro league. I think he would do great playing for the Spanish league, playing a La Liga. I just think that for him, if he's going to become a good NBA player, he needs to get on the court doing something other than being a 3-level scorer. He needs to earn his minutes being a spacing guy, being a 3-point shooter, or earn his minutes being a really good on-ball defender. And then he'll get on the court, and then you'll see him get the ball more and maybe transition into, hey, he could be a really good second unit ball handler.
So maybe go the route of Jason DeRusso?
Maybe. And just go and play, go and play Euro leagues And like
Jason Drusso's had one hell of a career internationally. He's super popular overseas.
Well, look at what Nikola Mirotic did. Mirotic, my bad. It was Mirotic, and then it got switched to Mirotic. He had an option. I mean, he was a valuable player in the NBA. There were multiple teams who were willing to go and pay him plenty of money to be on a contender. And he just went to Madrid. He goes, I'm going to make millions and millions of dollars and win MVPs and play in the EuroLeague and have a great time. And like, I'm going to live in Spain and have the time of my life. Like, I think Bryce Williams, I don't think playing in the Euros is a bad idea at all for him and for his game.
Still has not announced any deal, any two-way contract or anything. I don't know who his agent is. Somebody who is the agent of a former bartender at the Brass Rail, I hope is doing well. It's time now to acknowledge that if you want a path to success in the game of football, at some point you're going to be a bartender at the Brass Rail in Lincoln. Because yesterday was a big day. I can admit when I'm wrong. I thought Todd Bowles would be a bust. I thought Todd Bowles, I thought was a better defensive coordinator than a head coach.
Sure.
But Tampa Bay's on a nice little 5-year run here. And yesterday, the head coach and the general manager were rewarded in Tampa Bay. So Todd Bowles has had a nice run as the Bucs head coach. I thought that'd be wrong. But what about his GM?
Light. I mean, signing that Baker Mayfield deal is one of the best deals probably signed in the last 5 years of the NFL. No joke. To get a Baker Mayfield had 4,500 yards last year.
That's probably not where I immediately go with what he's done with the Bucs.
Sure.
So what he has done, and this is, and we can need to get again. I don't know if they've got something up, at the Brass Rail about Jason Licht being a bartender there. But here's a guy, and I always tell the story, and I think this is a great story, and you guys are going to see where I'm going here.
Crazy.
You didn't?
I had no clue.
So
I had no idea.
He came to play football in Nebraska.
Okay.
He was about 6'2", 240. So back then, you could play guard in the early 90s at about 240, 250, but he was behind a guy named Brendan Stye, and then he was behind a guy. Then there was a guy named Will Shields that also was blocking his path to the position he wanted to play.
He was really good.
Will Shields went on to have a pretty good career.
It was okay.
Yeah. So Jason transferred from Nebraska, went across town over to Wesleyan, changed positions, played defensive line for a couple of years, and then, wasn't going to play professional football, and he has worked his way up. He is on one hell of a run as the general manager of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's already got a Super Bowl championship, but since 2014, the highest number of snaps by homegrown players in the NFL, rounds 1 through 5, is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Evans, Godwin.
Oh, you could just go on and on. They've got David. When they have drafted, he is an elite drafter.
Vita Vea.
So this is what I ask. And we've had him on once in a while. He kind of tough to track down, not being in Tampa and having boots on the ground. And I don't know anybody that's like best friends with him, but he does. So he still gives back to Nebraska Wesleyan. I think he financially helps out Nebraska Wesleyan. That's what I've been told. Should he be in the Nebraska Football Hall of Fame? So this is not the University of Nebraska.
Absolutely.
This is Nebraska Football Hall of Fame. I think he might have been 1 year all NIAC or whatever conference back in the 90s Wesleyan was in. But his career of playing both at Nebraska and Wesleyan, it's hard to argue that he has had an unbelievable run as the general manager of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And when he got his extension yesterday, I'm like, man, that's a pretty good football life for a guy who's got a great story in Lincoln to tell. And his story started by being a bartender at the Brass Rail.
28 seasons in the NFL, whether it be as a coach or someone in the front office or whatever. In 28 seasons, he's worked with teams that have made the playoffs 13 times.
Yep.
Like, to have a damn near close 50% record of making it to the playoffs in the NFL is insane. Absolutely, he should be in the Hall of Fame.
He also has taken care of Nebraska guys. Eric Stokes, for the longest time, was in his front office as director of scouting, the former Lincoln East Spartan. He hired Carlos Polk That was one of Carlos Polk's first big-time NFL assistant coach's job.
Love me some Carlos Polk.
Remember they had Monty Kiffin, of course, Levante David.
And
they've had a strong Nebraska connection with the Buccaneers.
They drafted Trey Palmer too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's another one too where I thought that was a steal, and then I think Trey didn't have that great of a year last season. But
Mike Schaefer's coming up next on 1620 The Zone. All right, last hour of the week. We kick it off with our good friend Mike Schaefer from Husker 24/7. Good morning, Schaefer.
What song was that? What did I come into?
Carnival 9 by Emerson, Lake and Palmer.
Good tune, right?
Mm-hmm. As a kid, they would play this at Spurs games before the second half.
I probably wouldn't say good tune, but I haven't been accused of having good musical taste ever. So there's that.
What is your favorite artist, Mike Schaefer?
I'm one of those people who doesn't probably have like a favorite. Like it's Jason Isbell. I guess if I had to pick one person. at this point in time. It would be that.
Okay.
But generally, I'm the kind of guy who tells you I have an eclectic taste in music, but really only listens to like 90s rock and alternative rock and some country, and that's basically the extent of it.
What was the last concert you went to?
Nickelback.
What is the last concert I went to? I went to Nickelback in October of last year.
Yeah.
I feel like I've been to one since then. I think I'm going to the Goo Goo Dolls at the Astro in August. I'm going to go to Creed. So basically, I'm in the nostalgia tour era of my life.
Yeah, you're in divorced dad rock, man. Hell yeah.
I mean, I hope I can stay together.
No, I know, but that's I'm not saying that anything is going to happen, but I'm just saying that you're into the type of music that divorced dads are.
Show, Matt. What are you? And then some people learned that we were pregnant based on this show, thanks to John Bishop. So not this show, but this station. So I would rather not have you announcing a divorce that isn't happening. No,
I am not serving you your papers. I've given no inside information about what's going on in the Schaefer household.
I can't afford that. I would be just living under an overpass here in Lincoln, of which there's several to choose from. So we have to stay together so I can have a house.
No. I was just saying your choice in music is amongst the type of people that get divorced. But it's to each their own. Good people to listen to music with.
Hey, if you guys want, anybody out there that would like to break news of your significant other being pregnant, come to 1620 The Zone. Somebody will.
That would actually be that's a good bit. You guys should have like one show a month where people can just submit news that they want broken on air.
That'd be great.
To other family members.
I was going to say that, or have Jose Canseco announce it using Cameo.
Not a bad one. You can get Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson to announce things that happen to dictators around the world. That'd be pretty good too. I don't know how available he is.
Or him and John Cena. They seem like they enjoy doing that.
Yeah. Well, John Cena only has so many shows, so you'd have to try.
He's got 16 dates left, Michael. 16 dates.
Just fast forward all of it.
Are you a Director's Cup person? Big deal? No deal? Kind of pay attention? Where are you at with the Director's Cup, which Nebraska had a really, really nice, they're on a nice little run from Trev to Troy to doing well in that event or that race.
Yeah, I wasn't someone who got real worked up about it in the way that it felt like some in the local media did during the end of Eichhorst and the Bill Moose days. But I do think it shows. It can show that you have a healthy overall athletic department. What I find fascinating now with the Director's Cup is how do teams make sure that they are competitive or attempt to be competitive across the board in the rev share era. I mean, you look at North Carolina, came out and announced there's just 4 schools that are going to be part of that rev share pot. So what does the rest of their athletic department sort of look like? At what levels do those programs fall? Can Nebraska sustain having a high rev share slice to football, but also make sure that volleyball, baseball, both basketball, wrestling, track and field, bowling, that they all get to have success too, that they're not an also ran program or less than or whatever word you want to use to describe it. So in a weird way, I'm fascinated by it going forward because I'm wondering how much stock to put into it if you have teams that are or programs that are basically just like, we're not going to really support or fund this athletic program at the same level anymore because we're focused on X. And you have other places that are like, well, we want to be really good at this, so that's where we're going to put rev share money. And so it's just sort of I don't know. It sort of fascinates me as a whole for college athletics. And maybe it's not going to go that deep. I don't know how many track teams around the country are going to get rev share. But, you have those programs like Arkansas and Baylor and Oregon. Are they really not going to be good at track just because they choose to put money towards football? I'm just fascinated by how all of this is going to work.
Shave, Trey Taylor is the number 7 quarterback recruit in the class of 2027. He's the second in the state of Illinois behind Israel Abrams, that's going to be a great game between Carmel and Montini Catholic later in the year in Illinois high school football, which might decide where Trey ends up. But do you think there's a possibility that Trey Taylor ends up being a 5-star prospect and or the number 1 quarterback recruit in the class of 2027?
It's entirely possible. I know that Tom Loy and Andrew Ivins were out here for the 7-on-7 thing that Nebraska had earlier in the month, and they were blown away by Troy Taylor. Just both his personality and all of that, but also just watching him on the field. For Ivins, he said it was the best that he's seen him in any of the events that he had seen him previously. He thought he looked incredibly confident, poised, was able to make throws and came up in big situations. And obviously it's 7-on-7 relative to the full game of football. But I think in the settings of camps and 7-on-7 stuff, he clearly got upside of being a 5-star quarterback. I mean, I don't know that he'll be the number one quarterback in the class. I would be genuinely shocked if we're not having the conversation at some point, this time a year from now about his Elite 11 results and how he did out there. And I fully expect that he's going to represent himself well in every capacity. So he does have that level of upside. It was interesting talking with Alan True, another guy that we have at 24/7 Sports. He does a lot of the Midwest recruiting updates and evaluations, and he'd seen Trey Taylor several times, but he'd also seen him in the context of full 11-11. And for those that don't know, it's not like Trey Taylor is at a high school that just lit the world on fire.
No.
Like, I think they were 4-7 or something.
Yeah,
5-7.
Yeah, they were not.
So,
They're not either, Mike. They're not like a power. They're not. Carmel isn't
Right.
considered to be. Hey, every year they're super, super good. I mean, they definitely have to battle it out.
So one of the cool things is that, when you work for a place like 24/7, they cover this stuff in a lot of different ways. You have Alan, who's able to tell you what he looked like in that environment. You have a guy talking about the camps and the 7-on-7, and they can tell you where the progress maybe has kind of been there. But one of the things that I think is noteworthy, at least for Trey Taylor, is that he's going to have an opportunity to kind of show in his junior year how he's gotten better and how he can make that team better. I mean, a lot of your top guys don't play on teams, that are 5-7. And so I think what you're going to see is in what ways can he help them, and in what ways is it just out of his hands? If they can't stop anybody, he's probably not going to be able to put up enough points a game, that sort of thing. But is he still putting up big numbers, getting them in situations where they're competing at a high level, even if they aren't necessarily winning games? I mean, I think that's going to be something to sort of watch this fall. But I think all in all, he's a really exciting prospect for Nebraska football.
And they're going to be playing real quick. Like, they're going to be playing top teams in the state this year. I mean, they're playing Montini, they're playing Loyola, they're playing St. Lawrence.
They don't exactly shy away in scheduling.
Like, even their mid games against Marion Catholic and Fenwick, like, those are two teams that it's not necessarily easy to beat them. Like, they honestly, if they go, so by the way, I was wrong. It was 4-7, so that's my apologies. But if they're over 500 this year for Carmel, that would be massive for that program with the schedule that they have.
And we will find out.
Will we find out on Sunday? A fellow Chicago product says yes to Nebraska in Claude and Puma.
I don't love this spot for Nebraska. I think that they have a really good relationship with Claude and his family. I think that, in an old system, the proximity of being able to basically say, like, hey, it's a Big Ten school recruiting against two SEC schools, and it's going to be a lot easier for his family to see him in a Big Ten schedule. That just doesn't matter as much in the NIL era. Like, they can just pay to bring the family to any game that they want to. And so, and they can negotiate that in contracts and everything else. And so I think Nebraska, and I hate doing this because it's one of these things where, whenever you don't get someone and you claim that NIL is involved, it always seems like sour grapes. I just don't think Nebraska is going to match what Auburn or Florida is willing to spend in NIL. And so if that is a difference maker in any way, shape, or form, I just don't know that Nebraska is going to go there for a guy who needs several years of development before he's going to be a potential cornerstone left tackle for you. Like, I think he's a very exciting prospect, but this is someone who's just started playing football. Very, very good athlete, basketball player, soccer player. I have no question that he's going to adapt to being able to play football at a high level. But is Nebraska willing to commit that much money to someone who's that raw? We'll find out. And I know Auburn is. I know Auburn's more than willing to spend money. And Florida, I think, too. And Florida has a lot of momentum on the recruiting side of things, which is kind of always laughable to me because we'll get into the season and they'll go 8-4 or worse as usual. And will do the whole song and dance with Billy Napier and all of that. But I have a tough time seeing Nebraska win this one. If they do, it's a hell of a recruiting job for Matt Rule and Donovan Raiola. And so I'm not saying they're entirely out of it, but if I had to put it right now, I think they're running third, and I think Auburn's running first. But that can still change.
In terms of type of prospect, is Nebraska in no man's land in the regard that they're not up there yet and getting the top guys across the country, but they don't necessarily need to take a bunch of projects?
I don't know if I'm not sure how I would classify that. They're in a weird spot for a variety of reasons. I think they've chosen to put themselves in a small class this year.
Mm-hmm.
I think they've chosen to really hyper-focus on a handful of targets and not necessarily have plans C, D, E, and F as they've had in the past. I think they don't have to take those guys, and it's one of the big things for me right now is if you're not getting one of your top defensive line targets, I don't think it behooves you to just go grab a guy and throw him into your class and be like, oh, well, we got a defensive lineman right here. We'll see how he develops. I just don't think they have to do that. They have a young enough roster. They have a lot of guys that I think they want to see who they are and what they can do and all of that sort of thing. And so because of that, be judicious, be smart about what you recruit. And then it was a weird cycle because of all the different parts that they have swapping in and out on the coaching staff. I just don't think that Terry Braden was really able to recruit at the level that I think he will going forward. I think Addison Williams and Bill Simpson, same sort of thing. And then the other thing is Nebraska's sales pitch has to evolve from, hey, we're really close to doing something big here to, hey, we've actually started taking steps and we're doing something. So I don't think that they can just sell the sea of change the way that you normally get after a coaching change anymore because they're now into their fourth recruiting cycle with it. So I think it's time for results to do a lot of the speaking when it comes to what Nebraska football is all about, because I just don't think they're going to do it with NIL and money whipping people. And I just don't think that this class was set up in such a way that they were ever going to take a big number. So it was always going to look just a little odd.
Mike Schaefer from Husker 24/7 joining us, not getting divorced. You can follow him on Twitter at Mike J. Schaefer.
Thank you.
All right, so the prodding from you and your colleagues at 24/7. So I've got Scott Miles on my big board as part of the class of 26, 2 wide receivers. Will I be able to move Devin Jackson next week over to Nebraska's commitment list?
Yeah, that one is kind of a fascinating recruitment because Oregon's sniffing around. They want another safety, and they've missed out on a couple people, and Devin Jackson's high on their board. Miami, there's some real feel that during his visit there that he was really close to committing and shutting everything down. At one point, he was committed to Florida, and he went back there for a visit midweek before he came out to Nebraska. And with all the momentum Florida has going on, does he want to jump back into that class? At the beginning of this whole thing, at the beginning of June, he was at LSU. They're still involved to a degree. And then you have Nebraska, where his teammate Danny Odom is going. He's been here 3 times this calendar year already. I think he likes Addison Williams quite a bit. I think there's opportunity to play here, and they have kind of a nice mixture of Miami guys. I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but they've done a nice job recruiting Miami, and those guys have actually played and are set to have big roles here again this year. And so that certainly doesn't hurt their ability to recruit in South Florida. I'm going to lean towards they won't get Devin Jackson, but he is one of those guys I would put on the short list that should Nebraska have a nice season, they could potentially flip down the line. Because I think at Nebraska, he would be the number 1 and probably only safety in the class. Elsewhere, he might be the second, third, fourth defensive back, that kind of thing. So I think on a value system, he's probably more valuable to Nebraska. It's just a question of whether he views Nebraska the same way as staying home in Miami or going to Florida or Oregon or, all of these different things. I mean, this is where, we saw him do it with Danny Odom. This is where Nebraska has to be able to win a tough elbows out recruiting battle.
We saw yesterday E.J. Barthel tweeted out a picture of Chicago and then said #pound the pavement. And, kind of indicating that they're going to try and recruit more in that area, especially after they got Trey Taylor. And kind of a 2-parter here. Do you think that the commitment of Trey Taylor opened up, to their eyes, opened up okay, we can go and do this. We can go and get some guys in this area. And do you think that this is an actual trend that we're going to see of Nebraska getting consistent Chicago guys, or is this kind of a wait and see and it might be fool's gold?
It's a pretty big wait and see for me. And Gary can add some color to this as well. And you, Matt, obviously being from the area, could too. I don't think of Chicago as this spot where Nebraska has had a ton of recruiting success or have brought in like a ton of really notable players. Now, Jordan Westerkamp, Corey Cooper, we'll see what how things kind of go. If you want to consider Mario Buford a Chicago guy or the other Buford a Chicago guy.
Yeah.
But as for me, I don't really think of it. I mean, I guess there's Corey McEwen. He'd be mad if I don't say his name, but I don't really think of
Omaha.
Chicago as this area that Nebraska has had a ton of success in. And I don't really think of it as this recruiting hotbed for football. I always think of basketball for Chicago. And so if it seems like the football product is on its way up, then that seems like the sort of place Nebraska needs to kind of go into and recruit hard. But it always feels like if there's someone Nebraska actually wants in the Chicago area, it's a pretty big surprise if they get the commitment. Like Trey Taylor was a surprise in that you would have probably projected him to go elsewhere, but Nebraska went after him the hardest. And you have Notre Dame that goes in there, and Ohio State and Michigan goes in there. And then, of course, you're going to get all the other teams around the country now that recruit nationally are going to go into Chicago. And I just don't know what the foothold is for Nebraska. And so I think they have to be judicious about what they're chasing. But it's a large metro area, but is it more valuable for Nebraska to get a foothold in there than, say, St. Louis, if they could ever do it? I don't know. And are they more likely to pull players from Chicago? I'm not sure on that one either. I don't know that Trey Taylor, for as big of an effect as he might have, I don't know that he could just be a Pied Piper and getting 2-3 kids out of the Chicago area every other year.
We'll get you out on this and a little bit different. This is as we close in on July 1. There are more athletic directors that are revealing which sports are going to get the revenue share pie. Like at Minnesota, they went football, men's and women's basketball, volleyball, and men's hockey. At Illinois, volleyball is going to be in their top 4. We already know that football at Nebraska may be as much as 75% of the $20.5 million. Men's and women's basketball, we assume volleyball. Will there be a 5th? And if there is a 5th, who do you think that 5th sport will be?
I mean, my heart wants to say that it's Nebraska baseball, but it's also an undeniable fact that Nebraska wrestling has been really, really, really good for a lot longer than Nebraska baseball has. And they're the number 2 team, more than likely, going into the 2025 season. Obviously, just picked up the Iowa guy, whose name is escaping me, AJ Ferrari.
Yep.
Yeah. I just really didn't think his last name was the same as the car. I just didn't want to say it.
Or the best race car movie out there.
Ford versus Ferrari.
You can make a case that wrestling probably deserves it as much as baseball does. But then you look at what baseball's been doing this offseason, where they've changed over their roster and they brought in some interesting guys. This is what I mean. Like, how does Nebraska manage to keep everybody happy? Because if you want to be good at baseball, you have to spend money. You have to spend more money than Nebraska has done, regardless of the NIL era. You have to give more support to Will Bolt over there from facilities and financial standpoint and everything else. Like, it's, Nebraska wants to be good at stuff. Like, the money has to also be there too. But here's the thing. You want to be great at volleyball. It's not like you're going to skimp there. You want to be great at men's basketball. Like, you have to do more than you're doing. Like, this is the challenge. Nebraska can't be great at everything. Matt Rule stood up and said this in front of everybody in March, and I don't know how many people were listening. But in this environment, you have to make choices. So for Nebraska baseball to be great, I don't know if that's going to have to be privately funded by a handful of fanatics. I don't know that there's rev share is going to be enough. I don't know if they're going to have to find a different pathway to being good in the Big Ten and ultimately in the NCAA regionals and everything else. Same with wrestling. Like, they're right in that really tough spot where you want both to be good, but is there enough money going around that you're not ultimately hurting each by splitting that in half? So that's going to be really, really tough, I think.
That's I wonder if we'll get something publicly before July 1, because it seems like a lot of athletic directors are doing that.
Yep. Do you know how much conversation we're going to have about that whenever that comes out? And then the conversation is going to be, well, is men's basketball really worth supporting when you look at its history relative to these other things? Like, it's going to be an awkward conversation around here.
Yep. Sounds like men's basketball will get anywhere from 3 to 3.5 million of the 20.
Which is nothing.
Yeah.
It's nothing.
Well, I mean, football is probably going to be a 75%er.
Yeah.
Right. And they need to win. You think the pressure on Matt Rule before was high? Now you're getting 75% of the pie and you're still going 6-6?
No.
Nobody's going to accept that. No. Like we are in a totally different era of expectations and pressure, and that cycle when we get to November is going to be insane with what people are going to expect around the country.
Yes, it is, and we can't wait.
Can't wait.
Shafe, have a great weekend.
All right, guys, have a good one. Thanks for having me on.
That's Mike Schaefer. I think baseball, if it's not included, it will be, we're increasing 3 scholarships or so. But that also, those extra scholarships come out of your 20.5.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I've heard and I've read and I've seen anywhere from 15 to 25, and that range is just massive. That's too big of a range to be confident in anything when it comes to baseball and scholarships.
All right, Matt Verzal will join us next on 1620 The Zone. All right, let's welcome in Matt Verzal. Good morning, Verz.
Good morning, boys.
Hey, so
Gotta
yeah,
replay those. Replaying those? We're in the middle of doing stuff, so just get ready.
Okay, we're ready.
no problem. Busy day at the shop?
I don't know. Depends kind of how the heat goes the rest of the day.
All right, well, let me feed you this. So my timeline yesterday was filled with offensive line guys explaining what constitutes giving up a sack. And now I think we should talk about it because the Lane Johnson stat was out there yesterday that he's given up 1 sack in the last 700 pass blocking snaps. First of all, how crazy is that?
That's insane.
1 sack allowed in 700 pass blocking snaps.
Yeah, it's so hot button topics for linemen is do I or don't I give up sacks?
Mm-hmm.
There's so much that goes into it, but you know, when you get a freak like Lane Johnson, like I mean, that dude is just unreal. And you know, he's getting up there in age, but the level at which he is, air quote, like falling off, does not correlate to the age that he is. Like he's just so good. But now, if you want to get into this, like all of you young people out there, or parents of young people that play football,
Mm-hmm.
look at his progression. Okay, guys, small town Oklahoma quarterback gets recruited to OU. They're like, yeah, you can come play quarterback. And then, but we got these other guys, and so he gets in there and he gets in the mix. Doesn't work out. Okay, well, with your size, we think we can move you to tight end. You can be great. But no problem. Moves to tight end. Like, well, we got a whole bunch of good tight ends too. Like, what if we moved you to tackle, and we make you more money than you ever thought you would make in your life, right? So the reason I'm saying it's not that every quarterback's going to transition to playing offensive line. My thought of this is parents of linemen. Okay, just because they're big does not mean they're going to be good. It's your job to make sure that they are athletic. They continue to pursue athleticism.
Mm-hmm.
That they're in basketball, that they're in wrestling, that they're in baseball, that they're doing athletic things. Because in the end, if they are competitive and they are tough, then they will be fine. But you have to put them in that position to succeed.
So, Matt, I didn't know that. I didn't know that Lane Johnson was a former tight end, which
former quarterback. Recruited as a quarterback.
Here's the funny thing. When you look at that Eagles offensive line and that aspect, right? Cam Jurgens, former tight end. Jason Kelsey, former tight end. Lane Johnson, former quarterback. You have Jordan Mailata, who played rugby in Australia, right? Do you think, and just in general, the Eagles have kind of cracked the code when it comes to, no, we're not necessarily looking for height and strength, but we're looking for how do you move?
No, because Belichick, they're following a code that was laid out to them.
Sure. Okay.
You know, Belichick had Dirty Dan Neal, who rarely played football but was a wrestler, and you know, you're just finding competitive people. You're finding competitive athletic people. Then you find the position for them. Like you.
Sure.
There's no now. Okay. I have been on record very early in the equation, and I don't know if you have Schaefer on.
Yeah, right before you.
But way, way, way long ago, Michael J. Schaefer basically looked at me like I was crazy when Cam Jurgens came to Nebraska, and I caught hell for it, which is fine. I've caught hell for worse. But I said Cam Jurgens should not be a tight end. He should be a guard or center.
Mm-hmm.
And oh, no, you don't know what you're talking about, you old heads, you this, that, the third.
Remember this.
He should have been a center or guard in high school. And then when they moved him to center in college, I was like, okay, get ready, because this kid's going to be way good at this. Outside of some snapping issues, which is just, to me, they weren't properly addressed in the coaching phase of things, but then they got that right. And the Eagles went and found an athlete. And Jason Kelsey, lacrosse player, finally said, hey, this dude is going to be my replacement. And away you go. So you got to be athletic. You can't just be a big blob and go out and play. So just because you don't play on your high school team doesn't mean you can't do athletic things. You need to go find a league you can play in just so you're being active. You don't have to wrestle on your high school team. You can go wrestle on a club team. But doing athletic things will further help you maybe get to that next step or one step further than you thought you could have. That's the reason why Lane Johnson gave up one sack over 700 snaps, is because he's an athlete.
So when you hear about these youth athletes nowadays, where by the time they're 11 years old, 12 years old, they're focusing on one sport, right? I'm only going to play baseball. I'm only going to play hockey. I'm only going to do basketball now. Do you think that's a disservice to the potential of the athlete that they can become?
Should lock the parents up.
Okay.
The parent should not, because the parent allows it. The kid can tell you whatever he wants.
Yeah.
Listen, in the Verzal household, right?
Mm-hmm.
You had to be in band through 9th grade.
Wow.
Okay, in Grand Island, fortunately, 9th grade was 7, 8, 9. So at Walnut Junior High School, I was in the jazz band, I was in the marching band, I was in that. Now, in the long run, did I want to do that? No. But did I have to bear it out and do that because those were the rules of my household?
Yeah.
Yes. And in the end, with the rhythm that I have and the fact I can dance and I know music, pretty good deal. But the time sucked. But figured it out, built a bridge, and you got over it. So just because the kid says they don't want to doesn't mean the parent can't say, well, I don't want to go to work every day, but I do it.
Sure.
So you may not want to do this, but you're going to do it because it's going to benefit you in the long run. You don't know it, moron, but I'm going to help you.
I want to go back to something you said about Cam Jurgens, who had this football field at Beatrice named after him last weekend. So,
oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, the field in Beatrice is now Cam Jurgens Field. So, but you said he should have played offensive line in high school. So Beatrice had a really good team. They had a really good quarterback. Remember, he also played like outside linebacker. Yes, he did. But Jurgens also played outside linebacker. There are a couple schools that were recruiting him as an outside linebacker. So when he got on campus, he was 6'3", 270 when they started him at tight end, and they gave him number 44. If he wasn't and he was a really good tight end. I mean, you're 6'3", you're going to be taller than most, and they would, running a fade in the end zone, and Jurgens is going to catch it. Do you think if he had played like in Omaha, he would have been an offensive lineman earlier?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
For sure. It was, in all due respect to Cam, again, I have the utmost respect for him. He's actually related to my high school quarterback from way back in the day in Grand Island. But here's the thing, okay? When he would go to the camps and you watch him run his routes and he'd do his things, it just wasn't quite that pop of running the route that was there. He has great hands, and most amazing linemen do have great hands. Zach Weger, they're very athletic people. Most, I didn't say all.
Mm-hmm.
Rob Zaska couldn't catch a cold, okay? But the ones that are great, like, have those little, they have the different skill sets, okay? Cam, when he was there, and I got a great story for Beatrice as well, but he would have been dominant for them at a tackle because of the quarterback they had. If I remember right, they had a good running back, okay? You don't need to truck it around. You don't need to. You need to go punch people in the face. But you're in Beatrice. Now, their quarterback was about 6'5", because it was early in my tenure at Scott.
Yeah.
And I'm out on the field at Scott, and Jurgens walks by, and then the quarterback walks by. And I looked at Term, and I was like, we are effed. I'm like, we ain't got nobody that looks like those two. And then 42-6 later, Term goes, we ain't got a care in the world, but he said, we're never going to win warm-ups. I was like, all right, good call. But so we go out the next year to Beatrice. And Beatrice, amazing amount of pride in what they do out there. They love it. And I love that about them. But they're doing some interview before the game, and little buddy from the radio station wants up the term. Like, Coach Sherman, you got a great team. You had great success last year. You guys, this, that, the third. He goes, how do you feel you're going to fare in the House of Orange today? And Sherman's like, what? He goes, the House of Orange. You're playing here in Beatrice, the House of Orange, da-da-da. Loudest crowd in the state, blah, 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 blah. He's selling it. I mean, he is selling this thing. And Term's like, well, he instantly defers to T.O. canned statements. Well, we're just going to give it our best effort, and we're going to see how it goes, and da-da-da-da. And I'm standing behind him, listening, and I'm laughing. Trying not to make eye contact with him, trying to be respectful. But he's like, what do I say to this? I don't even know. So anyway, we get done 35 to nothing at halftime. And the guy interviewed him again. And Term, contrary to popular belief, is not the little dimple-faced angel that everybody thinks about that he is. And so this dude interviewed him at halftime, and Term goes, man, I don't know how we're going to continue to deal with the House of Orange here. It's pretty crazy. And I was like, that's why I love you. I was like, this is awesome. And then away we went. But yeah, it was pretty funny.
That's awesome. Verz, as always, we appreciate it. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, man.
See you, boys.
I think
that's funny.
I remember correctly because they were.
I can hear T.O. saying those things. They're a good team. We're going to do our best.
That's great.
Hopefully it'll be enough.
I mean, some guys are sneaky. You think they're really, really nice, and then they have that side. They're like, no. In private, like
watch this option I've created.
Iowa's up 40 on Iowa. Nebraska's up on Iowa by 40 this Black Friday, and Rule does an onside kick. Yeah.
Why'd you go for 2? Because I couldn't go for 3.
That's exactly right. I think the quarterback's name of Beatrice because they had a really, really good 7-on-7 team. Because I went and saw him at Beatrice. That was Bellevue West. That was the first time I ever saw Juergens, and I'm like, okay. Sure. Trevor Schmalley, I believe, was the kid's name. Pretty good quarterback. But yeah, it's to this day, it is the number one thing that Scott Frost did as the head football coach at Nebraska is looked at Cam Juergens at 6'3", 270, playing tight end, wearing number 44, and going, wait a minute. You look like Mick Stoltenberg. How about we come inside and we play center? And the rest is history.
That's
number one thing that Frost did at Nebraska is moved Cam Juergens.
Easily. I mean, and it's, by the way,
it's actually not a good thing, but it's the right thing.
But it's also too. I do want to give
the right answer. I should say.
I do want to give some proper credit though, because it is no small potatoes. Because Cam Juergens went on to make a lot of money and is making a lot of money in the NFL, and very well. I'm not going to jinx anything or say anything crazy, but he's on a very good path. On a very, very good path to being a prominent name in this sport, and he's already within like the guy like if you're a big fan of the NFL, regardless of what team you root for, you already kind of know the center on Philadelphia is good. But this season for him, especially if he gets healthy, could be another step up to where, especially with there's been some centers who've retired. I mean, Cam could easily be the top dog this year. So, I mean, but by far Scott's greatest accomplishment, moving him over.
John says we're going to need video of Verz in the marching band.
Kind of thought that too, but yeah, I know a lot of the small. Well, I mean, I get what he's saying. A lot of people did everything back then. You're involved.
Were you a musician?
I played the bass drum because I was the biggest kid in the band that could hold the drum.
Okay.
And then I played the trumpet briefly.
I played the cornet.
Okay.
For a year, and then I just
not in high school.
No, God no. I was playing. I already got made fun of. I didn't need to.
You didn't do hot cross buns on the recorder? We all did.
I did do hot cross.
We all did.
I did do it.
All right, we'll come back and we'll put a wrap on the week. We'll catch up on some loose ends and see if Bryce Williams has signed with the team.
What is going on?
We
got to find who his agent is. I'll do that in the break.
It's Gary and Matt with Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
402-639-1218, AGR Roofing and Construction. Call now. Get your first free inspection. We want to thank you, Local Quality and Service, the sponsor of Dairy Matt.
Hey, just a little tip to the NBAers in the nation's capital or around. I like Trey Johnson. You do not need to use the nickname DC Sniper. Okay? I've seen that on Twitter today.
No.
Maybe step back. Maybe know that's
as
not
bad as that Halliburton stuff after game one.
Well,
yeah. Now the Halliburton stuff.
Isn't there funnier ways to get clicks on social media?
Well, there's also a past history.
I
I
remember.
But I think those people who are making that nickname are too young to recognize why.
It's always you damn young people.
We ruin everything.
You are ruining
really
our
do.
country.
Can't just have wholesome comedy.
Come on. I don't think we're ruining the country. I don't know if we're putting our best foot
That's
forward.
why we need 79 and 80-year-olds to run the country, because the young people are ruining the country. That's what it says on the interwebs.
Is that what it says? Do you believe everything that it says on the internet?
Well, it's always true if it's on the internet.
Wikipedia and the internet.
I'm telling you, a very
Wikipedia
easy
never
way
lies.
to get anybody to talk to you is say, I think this was way better back in the day. And someone will easily just be like, yep, yeah, it was.
I think when Twitter was was better back in the day before it became X.
Okay.
There you go. We're even. I want to give a shout out here real quick.
Go ahead.
Our mega deal, if you go to 1620 The Zone, the famous website that is award winning. There's a lot of content there. There's a lot of things you can see, you can look at, you can comment on, you can win. So our mega deal today is the brownie bar.
Nice. Hell yes.
Well worth it. So the brownie bar is the mega deal. Go to our website. And you know what? You will understand how great the brownie bar is. The chocolate, the blonde, or the dark. Matt's typical Friday night at the brownie bar. That's what you get. They are a mega deal.
People have told me this.
Yeah, they dropped by some stuff today.
We live vicariously through you.
I prefer red velvet.
Oh, is this still Friday night?
This is both Friday night and when I get a brownie.
All right, when you're going out, are you more likely to go regular chocolate, blonde, or dark chocolate?
Ooh.
When I'm gonna be honest. We'll just say it. What's my type? I like redheads, man. I'm just redheads. I like a nice red velvet cupcake. That's what I'm going for.
No wonder you became friends with my wife.
But I don't really have a.
Not in that way. You've been thinking like
come
that.
on. That insinuates something.
Matt, we're inviting you over for Cowboys Bears.
I don't think you want me there.
Hold on, I'm doing the math. You weren't here yet.
No, I wasn't. I wasn't.
That would be awkward.
It'd be very awkward.
If he had an affair with your wife.
Jeez.
And
then she became pregnant.
Yeah. It'd be great for ratings though.
Yeah.
Content. Lots of content. We should have maybe met a few months ago and discussed
we
this.
We
Not that. I'm talking about ideas.
Why don't we stop it? No, my mom's already got a grandchild.
Your mind's
now.
in the
She's
gutter.
Okay.
My mind is not there.
Oh, both of your minds are in the gutter. You're now talking. You're asking me if I like dark chocolate or milk chocolate. My answer is I don't discriminate. No discrimination whatsoever.
Well, same.
So
I have
you
the
like all
waistline.
the brownies.
I
That's
like
all I was
all
asking.
the brownies.
You always take it somewhere else. I was just saying the brownies from the
I'm
Brownie
a big
Bar
fan
Bakery.
of all brownies.
Literally brownies outside the studio right now.
Doesn't
They're
matter. Doesn't
delicious.
Big fan of brownies.
They are from Brownie Bar Bakery, which is our mega deal.
Especially the brownies that show up at True American
What?
Okay. Also on our website, we've moved on from Adam Sandler.
Have we?
How quickly you forget?
No.
Well, because we've given away Adam Sandler tickets.
Right.
Now we're on to Kevin Hart.
Oh.
So if you go to our website, you will see information on how you can win tickets to Kevin Hart, who they moved back his show at Baxter Arena by a month.
Really?
Because they were putting in the new scoreboard.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I can't wait till he makes a joke about that. Where he walks in and goes, "This is why you delayed me." Real quick, we did some research during the break. I was able to find out Bryce Williams has a profile on DiamondSportsAgency.com. Diamond Sports is an agency that's based out of Greece, run by Greek Americans, founded by Lou Diamantopoulos, who's
Shout out Giannis.
a big figure in the NBA world. At least that's what their website says. So for those wondering who his agent is, he is with Diamond Sports Agency, apparently. I went on our favorite hoopshype.com agent rankings. Did not find Diamond Sports on the rankings. Did not find Lou Diamantopoulos on the rankings. I did find something out, though. Rich Kleinman. Okay. Do you know how many clients he has? Rich Kleinman? 1. Rich Kleinman is just the agent to Kevin Durant.
That's like Kevin Durant's right-hand man. I had no idea. This guy, what a job. If you have one client, you have one guy that you have to serve, and it's one of the greatest basketball players of all time. Like, you go through these like hoops hype guys who are like these big agents. They have like 16, 17 different dudes that they have to like serve, and they're getting like $80-90 million. Rich Kleinman is just living the life of just being the liaison for Kevin Durant. Like, what does he do during the season? Just text Kevin, and he makes 10% of $51 million.
It's a good life. And then you watch him on X, and you wonder,
one of his burners.
Who is better on X, Kevin Durant or Brett Bielema?
Oh, I'm gonna give it to KD. KD's been doing this Twitter thing.
He's been petty for years.
Oh my god!
And I can't judge because you know me.
He's got all the time.
Brett Bielema is making a comeback.
Brett Bielema's, I don't know. Brett Bielema's he's skating on some ice though.
How's he skating on some ice?
I think like he had a great year last year, and they're supposed to have a really good year this year.
Oh, I don't care. I just like him on X.
Well, I'm just saying, it's just like if you're just very boisterous on X after,
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. Look at Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin is great on X, and it doesn't matter if he wins championships.
Lane Kiffin went after Antonio Brown yesterday. Did you see that?
Yeah, I think life's going after Antonio Brown.
We've reached the dog days of sports. We talk about mixed doubles being moved up a week at U.S. Open. Now we talk about Lane Kiffin and Antonio Brown.
Hey, Wimbledon's on the way. Wimbledon's coming. Don't worry. By the way, this is my favorite Kevin Durant tweet. I have it bookmarked at all times to read it. One guy responded to him. He goes, "Relax, big dog. You're Kevin Durant. Life is too sweet." Kevin Durant responded with, "There's no relax, champ. No relax when I'm on Twitter. I'm on 10 until the second I close the app. You relax." Great Twitter. It is such a good tweet.
I'm just starting to like him even more.
All right, everybody. Have a great weekend. If you're headed to Kansas City, the world champion, the Los Angeles Dodgers, are there to take on the Royals, who have gone 0 for 10 at home in the month of June.
Will they score a run when you're there?
That's true. Back-to-back times they've been shut out.
I'm down.
You know what? I think the Royals should use the possibility of moving to Washington Square Park as a distraction and just talk about that, not about their current team. I also think they should trade Chris Bubich for a big bat for the future.
How about big bats?
Big bats don't exist with the Royals, unfortunately.
At this point, get a little
bats other than Maikel Garcia.
How about this? Jacob Wilson is going to be the starter at shortstop in the All-Star game ahead of Bobby Witt Jr. He has a 500,000 vote lead.
Oh my God!
Now he's had a great season.
Yes.
Jack Wilson's son, who's playing for the A's, but man. But Ohtani pitches tomorrow night against Lugo. You'll get to see the greatest baseball player of all time.
Freddie Freeman?
Cags?
Ohtani?
Oh, okay.
No,
you're already making that claim?
Hey, the best hitter on the Dodgers lineup is...
I saw him. I don't know his name.
Tommy Edman.
Will Smith.
No, I thought it was Isn't there another guy having a really good year?
Will Smith could win the batting title as a catcher in the National League.
You were thinking of Pages. Pages has been playing there.
Thank you,
They're
Jimmy.
playing really, really well, and Freeman and Betts have not hit well. That's scary for the National League.
That roster's just scary.
But the Dodgers are at the K this weekend, so good luck to the Royals. But Ohtani pitches tomorrow night, if you are wondering. All right, make memories this weekend. Have fun if you're headed there, wherever you might be. Have fun, be safe, be smart. Make plans to join us again on Monday at 6. Live, laugh, and punt. For Jimmy, for Matt, I'm Gary. It's Gary and Matt on 1620 The Zone.